What's up everyone, welcome back to a brand new video. Alright, today's scenario, it's gonna sound a little weird at first, but let me explain. So Bardock, going to the future, how and why would that happen? Well, it's pretty simple actually. If we take what happened in an episode of Bardock, he did time travel just to the past. So instead, what if he time traveled to the future? It's a simple change, and it actually kind of fits in what happened with that story. I mean, the story never really made that much sense anyways, so hey, that leaves it open for me to do whatever I want with it. For this video, we'll set a like goal of 4,000 likes. If we hit that, I'll continue this series with another part and maybe some more beyond that. Anyways, let's begin this story. So we start off with Bardock's rebellion against Frieza. Alongside Planet Vegeta's destruction, it seems that Bardock dies, although not really. He is gone, at least from that moment in time. Through whatever nonsense caused him to go to the past, this time he ends up somewhere else. And not just in the future, but in a completely different place. I mean, if the dude can time travel, it's not that weird if I make him travel across space as well. Again, I know it's weird, but it didn't really make much sense in the first place. This way I have more fun with it. And you'll be seeing why in a bit. He ends up in a city. He can't tell what planet he's on, but hey, the atmosphere is breathable, so that's a good sign at least. But still, it seems kind of decrepit over here. The place he's in seems destroyed. There's no sign of life anywhere. Of course, Bardock himself is very confused. What is this? Is his life flashing before his eyes or something? Is this one of the many planets he helped genocide or something? No, this can't be. He would recognize it definitely. This is just a place that he doesn't know. To make matters worse, he's injured, and he doesn't even have a scouter with him. He's injured and lost beyond belief. Not to mention really confused. Last he remembers he almost got blown up by Frieza. And to make matters worse and even weirder, his foresight begins acting up again. He can't even really tell what he's seeing because it was very brief. But it was similar to one of the images he saw before. Someone in orange. It wasn't Kakarot, it was someone that looked like Kakarot. And he was facing two mysterious figures. The premonition was very brief and vague, so he can't tell what he just saw. But this just makes Bardock even more confused. Can he catch a break? Although he doesn't have a scouter, he hears someone nearby. It sounds like people flying. He looks around nervously, not sure what to expect. That flight, it could have just been some animal, but it could have been a foe, or it could have been an ally. He doesn't know. But he's confused and angry right now. He doesn't know what to do. So he yells out at this potential threat. He tells whoever it is to stop hiding, or else he'll have no choice but to attack. He waits for a moment. There's no response. Quickly, he charges an energy blast, launching it down one of the alleyways where he thought he heard noise. And as he does that, it's almost as if time slows down. He feels a massive gust of wind, actually two. Two objects, or people, fly past him. He's only barely able to dodge, but it kind of knocks him back a bit. He turns around quickly, and looking behind him he sees two figures. One looks like a child, and the other an adult. But as the adult turns around, both of them become speechless, looking at each other in pure bewilderment. Bardock recognizes that outfit. It was the guy he just saw in his premonition. And as for the man looking back at Bardock, he recognizes that hairstyle and that face. But it's definitely not who he thinks it is. This is obviously Gohan and Trunks. And he has no idea what to think about this. Some random person just showed up and he looks exactly like Goku. But he's wearing something completely different, and he has some minor changes, such as the scar on his face. Trunks asks what's going on, but Gohan doesn't really know either. Wait, he remembers. Raditz. Goku had a random brother that showed up out of nowhere. So what if this is another low-class Saiyan here to fight them? Maybe one that they ended up missing. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time. And not to mention, he does look exactly like Goku. All low-class Saiyans do look pretty similar apparently, so maybe this is another case like that. All he knows for sure is this definitely isn't his father. Bardock begins getting confrontational. Why don't they just help him? Why are they trying to fight him? He's not here as a threat. He doesn't even know why he's here. Gohan tells Bardock that he's not the first Saiyan they fought against. They will stop him no matter what. This only confuses Bardock even further, but if it's a fight they want, it's a fight they'll get. The two hybrid Saiyans launch towards Bardock, with Gohan remaining in base the entire time. Bardock is still pretty beat up after all, not to mention, the gap in power is too big. He tries putting up a fight, but he can't manage anything. They easily dispatch him, with Bardock on the ground even more injured than before. Gohan props him up against a wall, holding out a single hand and charging a blast. He wants an explanation right now. They're already dealing with these androids. They don't want to deal with another Saiyan here, especially one that looks exactly like Goku. He doesn't say all this out loud, but he does tell Bardock. He wants to know right now who he is and why he's here. And once again, Bardock sees that same vision from before, except it's more vivid this time. It's the Saiyan in front of him. He sees him clearly now, but this time he has yellow hair, and he's facing those two figures once again, although he's near death, and it seems he's missing an arm. Bardock then sees a brilliant flash of light, and the premonition disappears. Weakly, Bardock just tells him to calm down. He needs to collect his thoughts for a second. Gohan and Trunks do let their guard down, but this is only because they know that Bardock's too weak to handle them. but they saw his expression just now. He looked really weird. They want to know what's wrong with him. He tells them what he saw, and it sounds weird at first. I mean, there's this random guy here saying he could see the future, but then he says something interesting. He saw the guy in front of him, with yellow hair, fighting two people. This just weirds them out even more. Somehow this guy knows about the androids, and the fact that Gohan has Super Saiyan, which he hasn't used during this battle. Instead of being confrontational like before, they're just more confused than they were at first. Wait, so this guy's a Saiyan, he knows about the androids somehow, and he knows about Super Saiyan, but first of all, what did he just see right now? And second of all, if he knows what Super Saiyan is, why didn't he use it? This actually catches Bardock off guard. So that was Super Saiyan. Not only does this confirm to him that it exists, but it confirms that these two are actually Saiyans. Or at least the one in orange. Bardock has so many questions, but before he could say anything, he passes out. While unconscious, he has another vision. Everything's black, except for a little fuzzy image. A man with purple hair. He's standing next to a yellow vehicle of sorts. It becomes a little clearer. It was that same kid that he saw before, except older now. He boards the vehicle that he's standing next to, and it disappears. Bardock then suddenly wakes up. He sees the two people from before standing over him, as well as some woman. Bardock sits up, feeling a little bit better. It seems they actually brought him back somewhere safe and healed him. And just like before, Gohan and Trunks aren't even mad at this guy, they're just still confused. So Bardock begins explaining. He says he's a Saiyan named Bardock. He's from a planet called Vegeta, and this clearly isn't that same place. He remembers some vague visions that he had before, as well as the fact that he was fighting Frieza. The last thing he remembers was seeing Frieza attack him, which he thought was fake at first, but the fact that he was so injured, that proves that it was real to some degree. Wait, he was fighting Frieza? That makes no sense. Frieza's been dead for years. Wait, Frieza's dead? Yeah, they explained to him. Over a decade ago, there was a fierce battle on planet Namek. That's where the first Super Saiyan came to be. Frieza nearly died during that battle, but he was revived, and eventually he came to Earth for his revenge, where he was finally killed by Goku, Gohan's father. Okay, so that tells Bardock two things. For one, he knows he's in the future, or at least it seems like it. Frieza's been dead for over a decade. But also, the fact that someone fought Frieza on Namek and became a Super Saiyan. He didn't see the Super Saiyan in his visions. Or at least, he doesn't remember that besides what he saw with Gohan. But he's racking his mind, and he does remember. He had one vision before. It was Frieza, transformed. He looked different. They were on a green planet. And the person he was facing was Kakarot, his son. Bardock jolts out of the bed, frantically asking Gohan, the person that killed Frieza, the original Super Saiyan, did he happen to look just like him? This is only weirding out Gohan more and more, and he confirms this. And Bardock has one more question. Was the Saiyan named Kakarot? Kinda shocked by this, Gohan hesitantly confirms once more. I can't believe it. The Super Saiyan, the one to defeat Frieza. It was my son. Wait, this is Goku's father? That doesn't make sense. How is he alive? How did he even get here? But they can't really say it's not true. This guy does look exactly like Goku, and he knew a lot somehow. The fact that he instantly guessed that the Super Saiyan's name was Kakarot, the one who faced Frieza. But wait, that also means this is Gohan's grandfather. And Bardock sees it now. He sees the resemblance between Kakarot and Gohan, or at least himself and Gohan. That explains why he's wearing the same orange gi. And it's weird, something about that boy in front of him seems familiar too. But he can't quite pin down the resemblance. He asks, is that kid's father a Saiyan as well? Well yeah, he's Vegeta's son. Vegeta? As in, the prince? Wow, he really missed a lot, so he kinda needs to be caught up on everything. Kakarot was here, and Vegeta was here too, and he has a kid? Both of them actually did. And also, he wants to know, who was that he saw in his premonition? Those two people that Gohan was fighting. They begin explaining everything about what happened on Earth so far, catching Bardock up to speed. He would love to meet Kakarot, but Kakarot's been long dead. Those two figures that Bardock saw in his premonition, those were androids 17 and 18. Just like Kakarot, Vegeta is dead as well. As far as they know, Bardock is the last surviving pure Saiyan, which it doesn't still make sense how he's here. He doesn't know what happened either, but he tells them about everything that's happened to him. Things have been getting really weird. He was able to acquire some ability to have foresight, and he tells them he's had visions of Kakarot. Wait, in one of the visions, he remembers seeing that girl there. She was much younger, but it was Bulma there definitely. And he begins trying to remember more and more. He saw one, there was an old man with sunglasses and some bald kid, Krillin and Roshi. He saw Kakarot fighting some green guy, Piccolo. It seems his premonition ability actually is true. Everything he sees comes to be. Somehow, he was able to see Kakarot meet all these people, and face off against Frieza. Everyone begins calming down as everything's explained. They still can't really tell what's going on and how Bardock got here, but at least Bardock's caught up to speed about where he is and who these people are. So, he saw some premonition about Gohan before. What was happening in that one? Well, he was fighting those two figures, and from what Bardock remembers, he only had one arm. He was in Super Saiyan, and he was fighting alone. For some reason, Trunks wasn't there. And at the end of it, everything just went white, as he heard a giant explosion. It's kind of a grim premonition. It seems like what he saw was Gohan's death. But he did also see something else. Trunks, at least an older version of him. He was next to some yellow machine, and they actually know what this is. That's the time machine that Bulma's working on. So it seems Bulma does complete the time machine, and Trunks ends up going back somehow. And then they realize they could use Bardock's ability to their advantage. If he could tell when Gohan's gonna die, they could avoid that. Oh yeah, we're going Tokyo Revengers with this. Well, kinda, you get what I mean. Bardock now has to change the future, with his premonitions helping him. He's definitely going to help them. I mean, this is his grandson after all, and they're trying to stop whatever threat they're fighting. He doesn't really know what else to do, and he kinda wants to figure out how he got here and what's happening. But if he's gonna help them, he needs to know one thing. Can they teach him Super Saiyan? Well, of course. I mean, it seems like Bardock's a little bit weak in comparison to them now. Well, actually very weak. Thankfully, when he healed up from his last injuries, he did get a lot stronger, although he's still not near the level of even Trunks right now. But they'll train him. Gohan's been training Trunks to get Super Saiyan, and he's kinda getting close, but he's not quite there yet. But Bardock, he might actually be able to obtain it. Oh, Bardock actually has one more question. So, do they know anything about Raditz? And there's an awkward silence. Bardock's smirk immediately drops. Oh no, what did Raditz do this time? They explain, and he's not even really that surprised. Damn, that's a shame. Both of his sons killed together by a Namekian. And then Kakarot comes back to life. What a weird story. And just like Bardock, Gohan and Trunks and even Bulma are still pretty lost as to how he got here. Now, the thing is, he didn't time travel like them. See, we don't really know how Bardock's time travel worked or what the hell even happened with that. So, along with the liberties I took before, I'm going to take one more and say he didn't go across timelines. He actually did go to the future in the same timeline that he was in. So, I guess technically this makes him future Bardock because he's in the future Trunks and Gohan timeline. And just before anyone asks, no, this doesn't happen in other timelines, it's only this one because otherwise we're going to have like 20 Bardocks running around trying to figure out where they are. I mean, that would kind of be like Dragon Ball Legends at that point, and I don't want to get that confusing. That would be kind of funny in concept though, so hey, at least there's that. Anyways, Bardock begins getting used to life on Earth. The great thing is he's still a pretty skilled warrior. Despite him being weak in terms of pure strength, he's very smart and tactical. And with how good of a fighter Bardock is, and how intelligent he is, combined with the fact that he has Gohan there training him, I think he would actually be able to unlock Super Saiyan pretty easily. After all, he would need to summon his anger for it, and as you can tell, Bardock is a pretty angsty guy. Not to mention a really confused guy. Although this kind of bumps Trunks out. This random dude showed up out of nowhere and got Super Saiyan before him. Also, weird thing that I just realized, Bardock and Gohan could likely be around the same age. We don't know exactly how old Bardock was, but it's not wrong to assume that he might be in his 20s around where Gohan is. Which is kind of funny and weird to think about. He's as old as his grandson, or just about. And that makes him younger than his son, too. Well, at least physically. Eventually, we arrive to the battle where Gohan originally dies. Bardock can tell, this is the place. This is where Gohan originally fell to the androids. But now, he has Bardock along his side. And although Bardock isn't incredibly strong, he's gotten a lot stronger since he got here. Not to mention he has Super Saiyan right now. And the thing is, he's been able to tone his foresight somewhat. He can't really control it, but he's able to tell when bad things are happening during a battle. It's kind of like a spidey sense in a way. He really wants to get a better control of it though. If he gets full control over it, it'll have some great potential. But as of now, it only seems to activate in moments of pure distress. He hasn't been able to use it too much. But during training, he actually did have a premonition of himself becoming Super Saiyan, which was weird, but also kind of cool. So they're becoming more frequent and less random. They actually do somewhat pertain to his goal, although he doesn't know when they're going to appear. They fight without Trunks first, and the androids are pretty surprised to see Goku here, or at least what they assume is Goku. He looks exactly like Goku, his hair, his face, everything, although his outfit's different. But both Gohan and Bardock confirm, this isn't Goku. But Bardock can kind of tell one thing, they're not going to win this battle. In their current state, they're not nearly strong enough to actually defeat the androids, even with their combined power, and with Bardock being in Super Saiyan. However, this will help both of them gauge the androids' power, more specifically Bardock. He hasn't actually fought them yet, and getting to meet them in person is actually a big deal. He gets to see what they've been up against, and the androids get to see who's here with Gohan and Trunks now. They can't tell who he is or why he looks like Goku, but it doesn't matter. They'll kill him just like the others. Gohan's able to test his new strength against the androids, and it doesn't really do much, but it's definitely a big difference from where he was before. But still, Bardock had a bad feeling about this battle anyways. They just wanted to be here to see how strong Gohan is in comparison to the androids, and Bardock needed to get a feel for it as well. This is supposed to be the battle where Gohan died, but instead, he's saved here. He and Bardock end up retreating. And they realize they actually have no other option. They do need to time travel. They were hoping they wouldn't need to resort to that. And they could keep training, but even if they keep training harder and harder, they're not sure if they're going to ever be able to defeat the androids. So more time passes. Trunks grows up, and eventually he even gets Super Saiyan. Bardock's getting closer and closer to the level of both of them. Even with 3 Super Saiyans, they have a tough time against the androids. However, if they were to fight one just alone, they would be able to defeat that android, but together, they're unstoppable. Although, hope has arrived. The time machine is finally complete. They're going to stop any of this from ever happening. Although, they're not too sure what to expect. Especially Bardock. This means he's going to meet Kakarot. The time machine is now ready to take everyone back to the past. They have a pretty simple mission. They need to give Goku his medicine for the heart virus, and they need to warn everyone of the androids. But also, they do need to protect Trunks' identity. If anyone finds out about him, well, he might end up being born here. As for Bardock and Gohan though, they're perfectly fine. And this will actually work perfectly. With the two of them there, it makes them much more trustworthy. Well, they might not actually trust Bardock right away, but Gohan, definitely. The 3 of them board the time machine. They just hope this all works out okay. Not just the time travel, but what they do if they actually get there. The time machine starts up, and they leap through time. It seems the journey was successful. They end up in a wasteland, and it seems like they actually are in the past, at least according to the time machine. Above them they sense some certain energies, and they see some ships. Just like they thought, they're right on the dot and Frieza's here. They knew to expect this, but Bardock's pumped up. Kakarot couldn't finish the job with Frieza, and it looks like it's going to be his responsibility now. Immediately, he flies ahead, with Trunks and Gohan chasing after. Frieza's ship lands and Bardock's the first one there. A couple soldiers step off, and they're immediately eliminated. Gohan and Trunks land near him, ready to fight. King Cold and Frieza step off. At the same exact time, all the fighters on Earth arrive at the scene too, standing kind of far away. Not only do they see Frieza and King Cold step off of the ship, but they see 3 other people there. One that's wearing a similar outfit to Goku, one who actually has hair like Goku's, and then some other kid in a purple jacket. Everyone's just equally confused. Frieza's also confused too. Bardock walks up to him, with the other 2 fighters facing King Cold. Frieza's taken aback at first. Is this Goku? No, he recognized that bandana though, and that scar. It can't be. There's no way it's possible. Is this the Saiyan that rebelled against him? But how? How is he alive? He watched him die. He killed him. This is impossible. There has to be some sort of explanation. And Bardock can see Frieza's confused. He confirms it is him. But Frieza then calms himself down. This Saiyan was weak anyways. He shouldn't be fearing him, regardless of if he's alive or not. Frieza mentions this and chuckles, but Bardock then laughs himself. Frieza thinks he's weak? He lands a powerful punch right on Frieza's face, launching him into the side of his ship, puncturing a massive hole within it. Frieza steps out of the debris, saying it was just a fluke. He was caught off guard. And Bardock says that is true. He was caught off guard. But even with Frieza on guard, it won't matter. Yellow Ki swirls around Bardock as he powers up, transforming into a Super Saiyan. If Frieza wasn't scared before, this will really scare him. Bardock is so glad to have this opportunity. Frieza has caused so much pain and havoc. For everything Frieza's done to his people, and to him in the past, Bardock's gonna make things right. With Frieza stunned in fear, he's then hit by a left hook from Bardock, and then a right hook. He continues this, speeding up more and more with his punches. He then knees Frieza right in the stomach, flinging him up in the air. He rockets up into the sky, spins around and hits him with a kick. And as Frieza's launched far away midair, Bardock speeds around behind him with energy charged in his hand, catching Frieza with his other hand. Frieza coughs up blood. He doesn't understand. This Saiyan's alive and a Super Saiyan? Bardock tells Frieza he doesn't understand either, but he tells Frieza that he created his own worst nightmare. He created Super Saiyans, and for what he did to Bardock before, and to everyone else, he'll now face the consequences. Bardock flings Frieza up into the sky, with more and more ki charged into his other hand. With the same exact attack he used to rebel against Frieza before, he plans to kill him. He throws a ball of energy right at Frieza, and launches a beam behind it. A massive explosion occurs. And this time, Bardock's rebellion works. Frieza is killed. Meanwhile, Trunks and Gohan were fighting King Cold, and they killed him pretty easily as well. Bardock's elated. Not only did he get to kill Frieza, but things are going pretty well here. They all descend down into the ground, with Vegeta then flying up to them confused. It's interesting for Bardock to see Vegeta. He looks exactly like the king, as he expected, but Vegeta starts asking questions. Why does this man look like Kakarot? And how did these 3 get so strong? They're all Super Saiyans, and the one that looks like Kakarot, the armor on him, he recognized the clothing he's wearing. It's authentic Saiyan armor, from around the time that planet Vegeta was destroyed. And he asks, he's not Kakarot, is he? And Bardock confirms, he isn't Kakarot, but they are here waiting for him. Also, the man in orange looks pretty familiar too, and he introduces himself. His name's Gohan. This of course shocks everyone there, especially present Gohan. He points to present Gohan and says they are in fact the same person, although he's obviously an older version from the future. For Trunks, they come up with a fake identity, saying he was just a guy that worked for Capsule Corp too. And Bardock then introduces himself. He isn't Kakarot, but he is Kakarot's father. also from the future. They don't know what's more shocking, the fact that future Gohan's here, or the fact that Goku's father from the future is here and he's alive somehow. How does that even work? Bardock doesn't even know himself. It's a long story and he says he'll try and explain later, to the best of his abilities at least. For now, they need to wait for Kakarot. Eventually, Goku's ship does land on the planet. Besides Frieza and King Cold, he did send some other energies get here, and he wasn't sure who the key signatures belonged to. And he's just as confused as everyone else was. Future Gohan introduces himself first, glad to see Goku again. Whoa, that's weird, an older Gohan? And there's also that Saiyan with purple hair, but most interestingly, who's that guy that looks exactly like him? Bardock steps up to Goku, and the exchange is actually pretty awkward. He tells Goku flat out he's his father. Oh crap, he's probably going to be pissed that Kakarot killed his own brother. But Bardock begins explaining to the best of his abilities what happened and how he got here. Gohan does most of the explaining afterwards though, explaining what happened in the future and talking about the androids. It is a very weird situation. Besides everything that Gohan's saying, they also do have Bardock there introducing some more confusion. They learn of the androids and Goku contracting the heart virus. In 3 years' time, androids will arrive, and in order to prevent total destruction in the future, they need to kill the androids. Not only that, but they need to make sure Goku takes his medicine, or else he'll die to the heart virus. Bulma suggests that they go after the androids right now, but just like normal, they just decide to wait. But before they leave, Goku asks for one thing. Those three all seem pretty strong, and he wants to fight Bardock and Gohan. Bardock's surprised to hear this, but also happy. He'll gladly do it. They don't have to head back right away after all. He powers up into Super Saiyan. He knows Kakarot can do the same and he wants to see it. And Goku powers up, using the same exact form. This should be fun. The two begin battling. In terms of raw strength, they seem pretty even, and technique too. It's an explosive battle and everyone watches intrigued. Bardock even compliments Kakarot's strength, so this is the power used to defeat Frieza. Goku says the same thing in return. It seems they're at a similar level, but Goku also says this is a perfect opportunity to test out his newest technique. Mid-battle, he places his fingers on his forehead, teleporting behind Bardock. Goku begins getting the upper hand and eventually wins the fight. Whatever maneuver he just used was pretty insane, and Bardock compliments Kakarot's strength once more. Although Goku is a bit winded, he's ready to fight future Gohan as well. But this fight has a completely different outcome. Future Gohan shows off his raw strength, and even though instant transmission is hard to counter at first, Gohan is eventually able to win the fight. Goku's amazed by everyone's powers. He would love to fight Trunks too, but he thinks he's seen enough. If these fighters had problems with the androids in the future, they definitely will as well. The message is loud and clear. They need to do everything in their power to stop the androids. Well, besides actually hunting them down right now and killing them before they're activated. Bardock does consider actually staying back here, but they don't know the effects of time travel yet, so he can't. He did want to catch up with everyone here more, but he's just as fine returning to the future with Gohan and Trunks. They tell everyone they'll be back in 3 years. Gohan is elated to have seen Goku again, and it was pretty funny seeing his past self as well. Bardock was glad to see Kakarot too, and to see how he's grown, despite the whole encounter being pretty awkward. They depart and head back to the future, and Goku honestly doesn't know what to think either. It was a little bit awkward to meet Bardock, but it still was pretty cool. Although it still is weird because Bardock is somehow alive there but not here. How is he still alive and young in the future? Ah, whatever, he's not going to question it. It was a fun fight, so the logic doesn't concern him. Everyone begins preparing for the androids, and back in the future, more time passes. Bardock, Gohan, and Trunks all get stronger and stronger. And even though they still plan on going back to the past, they think they have a good strategy to defeat the androids. They need to lead them into an ambush somehow. 18 appears to be the weaker one, so if the three of them can all attack her at once and kill her right away, they could then take out 17 and finish the job. At their current strength, 3 of them at once should be more than enough to take on one android. It still might be a little tough, since they're not too sure where her full power is, but if it doesn't work, they could always retreat. They locate the androids in one of the destroyed cities, and now they need to figure out a way to split them up. On one side of the city, the 3 of them try out a strategy. Almost like time bombs, they plant little balls of ki, and then they fly far away. They see Android 18 in one of the shops, with Android 17 waiting outside. They fly behind the shop, and remotely they detonate their ki blasts. This makes some pretty noticeable explosions in the distance, catching the attention of the 2 androids. 17 chuckles. He thinks there's another army trying to defeat them, so he goes to check it out. 18 wanted him to wait, but she's still in the middle of her shopping spree, or stealing spree. But 17's already left her alone, and just as she's about to depart, the 3 Saiyans all power up and jump out from hiding. Immediately she's hit by a barrage of ki blasts, and she didn't even know what just happened. It's an endless stream of ki. They just keep on launching more and more blasts after the others. And together, the 3 of them charge a combined Masenko, hoping that it's enough to finish off Android 18. And just as the explosion occurs, 17 gets back on the scene. He sees the 3 Saiyans hovering over the store, with a giant crater where it once was. Android 18's in the middle of it, having been defeated. They can't believe it. He actually fell for the ambush. and it took a lot of their power, but they were able to kill one of the androids. Now they just need to try and weaken 17 at the very least, if not kill him. Before he could even try and process what's happening, 17's then attacked. The three Saiyans all fight him at once. 17 tries powering up, and it does briefly help him defend against it, but after a while, the Saiyans are gaining the upper hand. They outnumber him, and their techniques are better than him. With the three of them combined, their power seems to just eclipse his. Of course, he has infinite stamina, which is the exact reason why they want to finish this so quickly. And after a hard-fought battle, they eventually do kill Android 17 as well. They're tired out and injured, but it worked. They actually killed the androids. This is amazing. They can't believe they accomplished it. But still, they think they could try and reverse this all with time travel, so they do want to make sure everything's still fine in the past. Even though they could celebrate here, something's not right. They want to make sure everything's going okay back there. So when the time arrives, they go back to the past once more. And they see exactly what the problem is. The group just finished fighting two other androids. Everything went pretty much like normal. They fought 19 and 20, and Goku still succumbed to the heart virus. Android 20 escaped, and they now need to locate his lab. They can't believe Goku didn't take his medicine, but it's fine. They'll handle this. They tell everyone they just killed the androids in the future not too long ago, about a few weeks prior. Assuming the androids are the same here, they'll be just fine. Although, they are a bit concerned. The fact that there were two more androids, that doesn't really sit right with them. Could it mean 17 and 18 are different here as well? They don't know, but they all begin searching for the lab. They also hope that Goku's okay. Bardock and Gohan are both hoping to see him again, and he has been given his medicine, but he's still suffering from the heart virus. Hopefully he joins the fight with them eventually, but for now they just need to try and stop the androids at the very least. And of course, everyone realizes Trunks' true identity. It's pretty obvious now that he's born in the past, and he's glad to hear about that. Well, even if everything with the androids has changed here, at least Trunks is still alive in this timeline. Once they find Jiro's lab, it already seems to be too late. The second they get there, they see Android 20's head roll across the ground, with 17 and 18 standing right above it. How nice, they already have an audience too. And to make things even worse, there's another android standing alongside them. Okay, this is bad. Even if 17 and 18 are the same strength, which they don't know yet, they have another android to fight. This will be way tougher than they thought. It's a good thing that they came back here still. The androids begin their search for Goku, but the group all tries to fight them together. Bardock, Gohan, and Trunks remind everyone that they need to team up. It's the only way they'll be able to defeat these androids. Just like they feared, this isn't the past version of their timeline. It's a completely separate one. That explains why everything's going so differently. There was never an Android 19 and 20 in the future, much less an Android 16. And as they fight Android 17 and 18, Gohan knows that they seem more powerful than the future ones. Him, Bardock, and Trunks together were enough to defeat the androids, and this was before the power boost they got after they healed from that battle. But now, the three of them together can't even defeat 18. Even with help from Vegeta and Piccolo, that's not working. They're gonna have to make a new strategy. The androids go on their way, while the rest of the group decides on their own what to do. Vegeta flies off and Trunks chases after him. Piccolo has an idea too, and heads up to the lookout. That leaves Bardock, the two Gohans, Krillin, and Tenshinhan. They're not too sure what to do right now either, so it might be a good idea to head back to Capsule Corp, while also checking on Goku along the way. Trunks will handle Vegeta, and it seems that Piccolo has his own plans. On their way back, Bardock tries to think of what they could do. If Kakarot was able to fight, it would have been really helpful. They could have used an extra Super Saiyan. But present Gohan asks his future self, how and when did he transform? Future Gohan begins explaining, and of course this is a completely different scenario, so he doesn't know if Gohan could transform that way, but maybe they could train him to transform. Krillin acknowledges this too. Oh yeah, that's another thing that could be really helpful. If they get Gohan to transform too, that'll be an extra Super Saiyan. Whether he's a kid or not, an extra Super Saiyan is a big help. And Bardock's interested in this too. He wonders if a kid that young can actually become a Super Saiyan. But more importantly, he's concerned about how long it'll take. Of course, it doesn't seem like being an adult is a requirement for it. Trunks accessed it while he was pretty young, at least when he was a teenager. But that's the thing, Trunks also had way more experience and had the emotions meant for it. He wonders if present Gohan can accomplish this. But future Gohan tells everyone not to worry. If anyone can help out his past self, well, it's himself. He knows better than anyone. Meanwhile, on the lookout, Piccolo gets ready to merge with the Kami. But they notice an ominous energy. Besides just the three androids, it seems like they have another threat to worry about, and they're not too sure who or what it is. Piccolo's fusion with Kami begins. The two merge together, creating a much stronger warrior. A lot of the stuff with him happens normally. He ends up encountering Cell, fighting him, and then the group catches up to him, and this is where things begin changing more. As Cell escapes, he's kind of confused. Those people with Piccolo, it wasn't just Trunks and Krillin, there's also Bardock and Gohan. He knows of future Gohan, but he should be dead. And as for that guy that looked like Goku, it definitely wasn't Goku, but he looks so similar. Did something happen in this timeline that changed Goku or something? He doesn't know himself, but he needs to get stronger. That's all he knows. He wants to absorb the androids, and he's got to do that before he ends up facing the group. Otherwise, he's toast. But thankfully they receive some good news. It seems Goku's finally recovered. He's woken up, and now he has an idea of how to train. Everyone goes to meet up with him, glad to see that he's okay. And although Bardock is glad that he's awake, he still is a bit annoyed. He tells Goku they risked everything to come back here, and he still didn't take the heart virus medicine. Goku apologizes, but all that matters now is that they actually have to defeat the androids. Bardock's at least glad he made it out okay, but still, this could have been avoided. But he tells Bardock he has a pretty great idea of what to do next. The room is Spirit and Time. It'll be a perfect place to train in order to fight the androids and Cell, who just showed up. Piccolo's already really strong, and now the Saiyans just need to become stronger. Bardock says that he wants Gohan to turn into a Super Saiyan. Future Gohan says he has an idea of how to do that, but they need to train him, and this will be perfect for that. A year of training within one day. But there is one issue. They need to recruit Vegeta. He's still off on his own, a little pissed off about everything. They offer him to go, and he wants to go in first with Trunks, so they oblige and let him do that. And while they wait for Trunks and Vegeta to finish, they have an idea of the order they want to go in. Bardock wants to train with Kakarot. He not only wants to see how strong Kakarot is, but apparently Kakarot has some great things that he could teach him. Kakarot would love to spend time with one of the Gohans, but it's better for the two of them to be together. I mean, who knows Gohan better than himself? If anyone's going to train him to become Super Saiyan, it's gotta be future Gohan. He knows about Gohan's untapped potential, as well as his anger and everything like that. This is the most efficient method. It'll mean Goku and Bardock don't have to waste time teaching someone, and they can work on pure strength, and with future Gohan training his past self, hopefully helping him access Super Saiyan quickly. While all this is happening, the androids are still searching for everyone. Piccolo ends up going to fight 17. And it goes a bit normal at first, but once Cell shows up, Bardock says he's not going to wait up there. Goku and future Gohan tell him not to go, but Bardock and Kid Gohan want to. They can't just let Piccolo die. Future Gohan tells Bardock to not let his emotions cloud his judgment. Bardock says he's completely clear-minded right now. It's not like he even has an attachment to Piccolo or anything, he just met this guy. He wants to prevent the future that he's been seeing. The reason he's acting this way is because he had another vision with his foresight. He saw it. Piccolo was fighting Cell. He wasn't sure if he died or not, but Piccolo had a massive injury. Cell absorbed 17 and Piccolo was hopeless to fight against him. Bardock's going to prevent this. Once again, he wants to change the future. Even if it doesn't affect his timeline, he wants to at least change the future in this timeline. He keeps having visions of Cell. He doesn't look the same. In these visions, he keeps picturing him with a much more perfected form. It's not too clear, but he does see that Cell has transformed somehow. Intervening now is the only way to prevent this, and even though it's dangerous, he doesn't care. They need to at least save Piccolo. And even better, the other androids are there. They could take this opportunity to kill 18. Angrily, he flies off. Future Gohan tells him to hold up and chases after him. And with those two leaving, Goku and Gohan decide to go too. Mid-air, Goku grabs onto all of them, then teleporting them to the area. That's definitely much quicker than flying there. Cell's elated to see that Goku's here, and Piccolo's wondering what they're doing. They should have stayed on the lookout. But they explain. Bardock tells them to hold off Cell. He's gonna try and find 18 and 16. It's gonna be a bit hard since he can't sense their energy, but he needs to see if he can find one of them. They all need to team up on 18 and kill her right now. It might be tough, but it's at least worth a shot, and Piccolo can at least do it. He was matching 17 before, and 18's the weaker of the two. Cell might be semi-perfect, but this is the chance to stop him from becoming fully perfect. Bardock flies away and Cell tries to launch a blast at him, but Goku, the two Gohans, and Piccolo guard against it. Goku's a bit peeved about all this. He doesn't want to be here. He knows they can't win. He tells the group they're not actually going to try and fight Cell. They just need to avoid his attacks for now, and then Goku will teleport them away to safety. If Bardock doesn't find 18, then whatever, he'll drag Bardock back too. Bardock flies around the area and can't find the androids anywhere. But then he sees the two of them escaping. He begins launching a barrage of ki blasts down at them, trying to catch them off guard. Even though these blasts won't do too much damage to 18, 16 still wants to protect her. 18's able to escape as 16 begins fighting Bardock. And this of course catches Cell's attention, and he thinks 18's over there, so he leaves the fight that he's currently facing and goes over to where Bardock is. He sees the two of them and launches a massive blast. And Bardock's about to get direct impact, but Goku teleports in and saves him. The blast hits 16 directly, fatally injuring him. Pieces of him fall down towards the ground, with only his head surviving. And Cell asks him where 18 is. He can't see her anywhere, but it's not like 16's gonna give up that information. And just like that, Cell kills off 16, now furious. 18's escaped, and it seems the others have too. With this distraction, Goku was able to teleport everyone out of there. It seems like Bardock did a good job. He saved both Piccolo and Tenshinhan, who now went back to Kame House on his own. And also in the process, an unintended side effect is that Cell killed 16, one less android to worry about. But still, 18 is out there somewhere, and they need to find her before Cell does. They can't let Cell get a hold of her. Around the same time, Vegeta and Trunks exit the room of Spirit and Time, allowing Bardock and Goku to go in next. The two Gohans will stay up here. They still do need a bit more training before they go and face Cell, But apparently, Trunks and Vegeta have discovered a new power. Trunks even tells future Gohan this. He knows a form that's even above what his father has, but he doesn't want to reveal it yet just because of Vegeta's pride. But Gohan says not to let that get in the way of it. If he has an opportunity to kill Cell, he needs to take it. Who cares about Vegeta's feelings? And Trunks acknowledges it. The two of them then go fly off and fight Cell, while also trying to track down 18, as Krillin does so at the same time, now having the self-destruct remote in his possession. In the Room of Spirit and Time, Goku and Bardock now have an objective. They need to make Super Saiyan stronger and more efficient, but first, they need another battle. They need to gauge where the other is in terms of strength, so the two begin sparring. Both of them have grown stronger since their last encounter, but besides just pure strength, it seems the two of them have some flaws to work out. Bardock needs to stop his anger from controlling him so much. He made some pretty rash decisions, and he could have screwed everything up and even killed himself if he didn't get saved by Goku that last time. And as for Goku, Bardock's still a bit disappointed about the whole heart virus thing. And while Goku is battle smart, Bardock sees that his son is not really the brightest person otherwise. Not like training's gonna fix that, but still. Bardock snidely remarks saying he should work on that. But the two start to get along pretty well, learning more about each other. Bardock learns a lot about Goku's past, as well as his family. Well, at least his Earth family. You know, sometime after all this, he has to meet Chi-Chi and everyone. And Goku learns a little bit more about Raditz and Guinea. It would have been nice to actually know Guinea, but in terms of Raditz, well, he did try to kill him and his son, and pretty much everyone else on Earth. But hey, maybe in a different life they would have gotten along. Bardock is pretty amazed to see Goku though. It's still kinda surreal. He still remembers that vision he had of Goku defeating Frieza, or at least fighting him. But the fact that his son became a Super Saiyan and defeated Frieza, it's incredible. Maybe this time they could pull through again, defeating Cell. The two continue their training while on the outside. Trunks and Vegeta fight Cell. And even with Trunks showing off his full power and not hesitating, he still screws up by thinking that power is all he needs, when the form is too bulky to use. Of course, Vegeta knew this too. He got too ahead of himself. So even with future Gohan's advice, it doesn't change much. And without 16 there to help her, 18 is actually found much easier. And Cell is able to absorb her and achieve perfection. But he still plans the Cell games, which is good. It'll at least give them some time to train. Once they exit the time chamber, Goku and Bardock hear about this. They're both in Super Saiyan now, and continue to remain in this form. They never de-transform into base after all. They found a way to make this form perfectly efficient, and they give this info to both the Gohans. They're going to try to remain in this form for as long as they can. While the two Gohans go in next. It's a bit weird for them at first. I mean, they are the same person. But after a bit, future Gohan becomes more like a big brother figure if anything. The great thing is he perfectly understands his past self, knowing pretty much everything about it. He knows that his past self has great potential. As hybrid Saiyans, they're just bound to be strong. And his past self might even have more potential than he did. Pretty quickly, he's able to get his past self to tap into his anger, transforming into a Super Saiyan, even quicker than what Goku was able to do. And now they must train to make it perfectly efficient. Learning about his future from his future self, he wants to do anything to prevent this. He's more motivated than ever. His future self has shown him a new light. And it's kind of funny too. His future self even did want to become a scholar still. He never gave up on that dream. He just wants his past self to achieve that goal. Even if he couldn't get his dream right away, his past self at least can. He's got to protect this timeline. And find a balance between schoolwork and his fighting life. Gohan takes these words to heart and the two continue their training, eventually also mastering Super Saiyan just like Goku and Bardock did. And after some time, eventually the Cell games arrive. So in terms of the first person to fight Cell, it's actually Bardock. They feel confident that he's one of the stronger ones. With a mastery of Super Saiyan, and with all the training he's done, he's actually been able to catch up to everyone, especially with all the Zenkais he got in the future from fighting the androids. He and Goku are pretty much similar in terms of their strength right now. But really, the two Gohans aren't really that far behind, and maybe even ahead, but no one really knows yet. But Bardock's worked on something that might be very effective. He's trying to figure out how to use his foresight better and better. He's gotten somewhat of a control in it, but he doesn't really know how to summon it yet, and he can't really predict what he wants to predict. His ultimate goal is to figure out a way to use it flawlessly, being able to see people's movements before they even move. This will really help him in fights if he could just predict what his opponent's going to do. They've already changed the future a bit, and from what he foresees, Cell gets defeated, and he tells the android this. But as he fights Cell, he comes to learn that Cell is much stronger than he thought. But he has another vision. There's a warrior standing in front of Cell. He only sees silhouettes, but then he sees a strike of lightning. The warrior, he's small, and it seems that Cell's on the ground defeated. Bardock stops the fight, knowing that it's not going to go anywhere, but he tells everyone what he saw. Gohan, he's the one that needs to fight. What, future Gohan? No, Kid Gohan. His vision hasn't let him down yet. And Goku's seen this great potential too. Bardock knows it. Goku even told him in the Room of Spirit and Time. And while everyone thinks he's crazy, Goku agrees, and even future Gohan agrees. They've all seen his potential. And alongside Bardock's vision, he might actually be right. And future Gohan gives his past self a pep talk. He knows that he's capable of doing this. He trained him for a year after all. Present Gohan is much stronger. He could do this. And he jumps into the battle. At first, he's not able to do much. It's a pretty one-sided fight. Cell is still ahead of him. But he could tell Gohan's getting angrier and angrier. And Cell's about to give him some motivation by creating Cell Juniors. But something's different this time. Gohan knows how to tap into his anger. His future self taught him. He needs to unleash that power. He can't be scared. And with his frustration bubbling up, it eventually happens. Just as Bardock foresaw, the vision takes place right in front of him. Lightning strikes down. As Gohan powers up, leaving everyone in awe. What is this power he's showing off? He transforms into Super Saiyan 2, ready to finally defeat Cell. But this time it's not out of sadness, and his mind is much more clear than before. He does have anger, but more so, he's determined. Future Gohan knew this would happen too. He saw this within the time chamber. Gohan briefly powered up a few times. He just needed the motivation to access it. The tides turned completely. Gohan has the advantage now, by a significant margin. He begins beating on Cell, starting to completely overwhelm him. Backing Cell into a corner, Cell has no idea of what to do next. But Gohan's mind is much more clearer than it was originally, and he knows he has to kill Cell as quickly as possible. So, he attempts that. With one powerful Kamehameha, he seemingly erases the android. He then powers down, as the group begins celebrating. Gohan's proud of himself. He was actually able to do it, and everyone's proud of him too. It seems Bardock's vision did come true, and he's glad things went well. Now they can finally return to the future. Everything will be normal, right? But then Bardock senses something terrifying. Everyone looks at him, his eyes widen. He's having another vision, but it's different this time. It's horrifying. He sees fire everywhere, blood being spilled. And then he gets another one right next to that vision. It's Kakarot, with a beam of light piercing through his chest. Bardock doesn't know what to make of this vision. Is he actually seeing things okay? The worst part of it all, he sees the silhouette of the person responsible. It's Cell. Wait, Cell? But that doesn't make sense. Gohan just killed him, didn't he? And this can't be future Cell either because he's seeing Kakarot here. But then a major gust of wind appears, and everyone senses a terrifyingly familiar presence. Bardock didn't even have time to process what he just saw or what's about to happen, but he reacts instantly. It's almost like his body moves on its own. Goku doesn't know what's going on. Suddenly he's tackled by Bardock, and as he's thrown to the ground by his father, through all the smoke and dust, he sees a beam of light. It pierces right through Bardock's chest, coming out of his back. Bardock falls to his knees, weakly telling Kakarot and Gohan to finish this. He collapses on the ground, dead, with everyone looking on in disbelief, especially Goku. And they look over to see none other than Cell. Gohan's confused. What happened? He killed him. And everyone saw it too. He transforms again, ready to fight Cell, and launches over to face him, but Cell's so much stronger this time. The two actually seem somewhat evenly matched. And Cell begins explaining. He survived, just barely, but he also got stronger. He was aiming to kill Goku, but killing Bardock's good enough. Now they don't have that future foresight that he had. Cell chuckles as he fights Gohan. Gohan is their last hope, seemingly. They sense another source of energy spiking. Someone else is powering up. They look over. Goku looks like he's frozen in time, still processing what happened. Bardock sacrificed himself to save him. Bardock knew that Goku would be the one to finish this too. He heard his last words. Gohan needs his help too. He can't let his son do this alone. His ki surges, and his aura explodes. Everyone looks on, then realizing what happened. With Gohan glad to see it too. It's exactly the same thing that happened with him. With tears in his eyes, Goku angrily glances over at Cell. This will be his end. Everything goes black. From Bardock's perspective, he sees nothing. The last thing he remembers is feeling a sharp pain, and warily seeing Kakarot and Cell in front of him. Did he die? He has no clue where he is. He gets up, and he still really can't tell. Everything's all blurred. His mind's all messed up. But his vision slowly clears up. He then hears a voice calling out to him. He's confused, disoriented, but this voice, it sounds familiar. Although, despite it sounding familiar, he has no idea who could be talking to him. He can't really put a finger on whose voice it is. But his vision begins clearing up. He sees a silhouette in front of him. It's Kakarot. But wait, if he's dead, why is Kakarot here too? Goku begins talking to him, and he sounds confused. He's asking why there's another version of him in hell. Wait a second. No, the person he's seeing isn't Kakarot. His vision clears up more. He's seeing himself. Bardock jolts back once his vision completely clears up. This definitely isn't anyone else. It's him. He's even dressed the exact same way. But the other Bardock is just as confused too. The two of them think it's some kind of trick, and they stare each other down. Another person then flies over too. It's Raditz. Raditz immediately sees this other Bardock as a threat. It's some imposter of some sort. He throws a punch, but Bardock immediately catches it, effortlessly able to block it. The other Bardock attacks too, not trying to hurt him, but to see if what he's actually seeing is real. Bardock asks, is he truly in hell? Well, yeah. The other Bardock tells him he died a long time ago and he went here. He's been here ever since. Eventually, Raditz ended up coming here too. But this other Bardock's even more confused than our Bardock. And then he realizes, this isn't a trick. This is Bardock from this timeline, as well as Raditz from this timeline. Bardock tells the two of them to calm down. He could explain everything. He now knows what's going on. He begins talking to the two of them. And this only helps confuse them more. Time travel? Wait, why wasn't this Bardock thrown into the future? He's kinda jealous. He could have survived too, couldn't he have? Well, Bardock's not really too sure what happened either. But what he does know is that he's from another timeline as well, so not only did he travel into the future, he also went into the past, jumping timelines. It's too confusing for them, but they just roll with it. Bardock even jokes about it too. It's a nice thing Gine's not here with them too, right? She must have not been sent to hell. Although it kinda sucks that he didn't get to see her. He fills in the other Bardock and Raditz on what's going on. So he was on Earth where Kakarot is, and Kakarot's currently fighting some android that was made to kill him. Raditz is still a little bit pissed at his brother for killing him, but hey, he kinda had it coming, and it's not like he's gonna cheer on that android. But that actually gets Bardock thinking. He wonders what's going on in the living world. After he died, all he remembers is seeing Kakarot. Maybe he and Gohan are handling it. We transition back to the living world. Goku is standing there, staring down Cell, looking furious and also saddened. His aura is just as furious as he is. And just like Gohan, sparks of electricity glow around him. Without hesitation, he immediately jumps in to fight Cell, and Gohan follows along too. Everyone is still a little bit in shock at what just happened, but they're not going to give up now. It appears that Cell is way stronger than before. Regenerating really helped him grow in power, but with two Super Saiyan 2s there, he might actually be in a bit of trouble, and he realizes that. If it was just Gohan, maybe he could have made it out okay. But Goku's there too. Thankfully, when he died, it seems he picked up a new technique, although he hasn't used it yet. He noticed Goku using it before, and Goku is part of him after all, so he tries to show it off. Instant transmission. Goku attacks Cell and Cell immediately disappears, teleporting behind him, then going towards Gohan and launching an attack. Goku then teleports in front of Cell, blocking the attack so it doesn't hit Gohan. Great, Cell's stealing more of his techniques now. Cell chuckles. Even if he can't easily defeat him, he'll outsmart them. He begins going on the defense instead of offense, and it actually begins working. As he teleports around, he suddenly begins dropping things nearby. They're miniature cells. He's creating Cell Juniors as he teleports. He keeps moving around as fast as possible, trying to avoid all of Goku and Gohan's attacks. Goku is trying to catch up by using his own instant transmission, but just as soon as he teleports to Cell, Cell's able to teleport away himself. The Cell Juniors begin spawning around them, and just to make things even harder, Cell even splits himself up into two. Now he's not outnumbered anymore. The Cell Juniors begin attacking, and mainly they serve as distractions. Of course, Goku and Gohan are able to dispatch them pretty easily, but with two cells there, they're both really strong, even with his power being split up. But as it turns out, one of the cells is the real one, and he kept more of the power for himself, while the copy is only there for a distraction. The copy then dissipates, and Cell regains his full power. But with all the Cell Juniors gone, he actually has a better plan now. Instead of splitting himself into two, he splits himself into four. Of course, this will mean each one of him is weaker, but it's 4 versus 2. He could make this work. Plus, after regenerating from some of the damage he's taken, he did get a little bit stronger too. The 4 cells surround Goku and Gohan. The two go back to back. Goku tells Gohan it's time to finish it, and Gohan agrees. Each cell charges up a massive Kamehameha, with each blast launched towards one single point in the middle where Goku and Gohan are. Goku and Gohan each stick out one hand, one towards each cell. A Kamehameha comes out of each of their hands. 2 from Goku and 2 from Gohan versus the 4 from Cell. The rest of the fighters jump up in the air to get out of the way, and they see all the beams clashing below them, creating an X shape. At first, Goku and Gohan's attacks are being pushed back, but slowly, they start to overcome Cell. Goku lets out more power, and he tells Gohan to do the same thing. The two shout. Each of their blasts grows stronger. Their aura flares up even more. Cell's beams are completely destroyed. Alongside 3 of the cells, one is left behind, jumping out of the way at the last second, although he's injured. As he tries to get up, Goku teleports in front of him, grabbing Gohan as well and bringing him over there. It's a shame Cell weren't a good guy. It's all this power going to waste. But this is the end of the line for him. Cell tries to launch one last attack at Goku, using all of his remaining power, but Goku catches it, then spinning around and tossing it right back at Cell. Cell cuts through it and it dissipates. But then he receives a kick in the back of the head from Gohan, pushing him right into Goku and then punches him. Goku's fist goes right through Cell's chest, and then he launches a powerful beam that completely erases Cell. No regeneration this time. The two of them power down, happy that they defeated Cell, but still, they lost Bardock along the way, although there still is hope. Goku still did have instant transmission after all and was able to get Dende. So even though Piccolo did fuse with Kami and they lost the Dragon Balls, Dende's here now, he can create a new Shenron, and these Dragon Balls can bring Bardock back. Back in Hell, Bardock is still conversing with Raditz and his past self. Present Bardock is interested to hear the differences between the two as they talk, but of course he also sees a lot of the similarities. A lot of their lives were the same after all. Even if this Bardock wasn't able to defeat Frieza, he's glad that his future self was able to, as well as Kakarot. They all wonder if there's any hope for them coming back. But present Bardock and Raditz are kind of fine with their position now. They've gotten used to Hell, and they've been here long enough where it'd be weird if they came back now. There's no reason for them to be revived, and they've accepted that. But for future Bardock, they hope to see him go back to where he belongs. Besides, this isn't even his timeline. There's only room for one Bardock. And just as they mention this, Bardock begins feeling weird. He's glowing. It feels like he's being transported somewhere too. He smiles. They did it. This must mean they defeated Cell and they're bringing him back to life. He could feel Shenron pulling him back to the living world. Present Bardock chuckles. He tells his future self good luck out there. And he and Raditz watch as future Bardock disappears, going back to the living world. Raditz asks his dad, did he understand any part of that story? Well, not really. It was pretty confusing. But it was pretty cool to meet his future self after all. And even though Raditz is still confused, he agrees. That was kinda cool. It should be him alive though, not Kakarot. But whatever, that's water under the bridge. Bardock returns back to the living world, waking up on the lookout with everyone around him. This whole experience completely changed him. It's so crazy how radically his life has changed. Besides being flung into the future, he got to go back to the past. He met his son, he defeated Frieza, he even died and met his past self and Raditz. And after all that too, they came out victorious. His son and his grandson were able to kill Cell. Both timelines are saved. He has some control in his premonitions now after all, and he tries to summon one. When he willingly tries to get a vision, he can only see a little bit at once, and he can't see too far ahead. But he tries looking at a vision, and briefly he does see something. He gets a little glimpse into a few months ahead. And what he sees is peace. Peace in both timelines. He opens his eyes and smirks. That was one of the first good visions he's had in a while. And the first calm one he's had. Goku, future Gohan, future Trunks, and everyone else are glad to see him back too. And Goku thanks Bardock for saving him too. This calls for a celebration, and most importantly, Bardock now gets to meet Goku's family. At least the ones that he hasn't met yet, Chi-Chi and Ox King. And he could definitely see why Goku married Chi-Chi. She is definitely a fitting person for a Saiyan. It's a shame that Gine and Raditz aren't here too, but again, this isn't even his timeline, and it's still at least nice to know that one of his sons is happy and alive, as well as his grandson in this timeline and possibly another one that's coming along soon. It gets Bardock thinking too. He's been considering something. He wonders if he should have stayed back here. Ever since they first traveled here, he's been thinking about it. It would be great. It would be a chance for him to start over, live a peaceful life too. The future's at peace now too. They don't need him there. But over these past few days or so, he's come to a realization, especially once he met his present self. He doesn't belong here. Not that he's not accepted, but this isn't his timeline. It would be wrong to stay back here. As much as he's connected with everyone here, this isn't his timeline, and he got what he wanted after all. He saved both timelines, met Kakarot, and even got revenge against Frieza along the way. He is Bardock, but not this timeline's Bardock. He doesn't see his present self getting revived anytime soon. And on a similar note, it's probably better to let Raditz and Gine rest in the afterlife in the future as well. He'll return back to the future, his true home. After a short celebration, the three of them all say their goodbyes. Gohan's glad to have seen Goku again, as well as his past self, and Trunks is glad to have seen Vegeta. And obviously it was nice for Bardock to meet everyone here too, not just Kakarot, but everyone else here that he hasn't met in the future. Of course he already knew Gohan, but everyone else here is new to him. It was a good experience, not only in terms of him getting power, but getting victory and closure too. Closure for multiple things in his life. Bardock's in a much happier place now. He's not only grown as a warrior, but a person. He walks up to Goku and sticks out his hand, but Goku goes in for a hug instead. He thanks Bardock again, telling him he was glad to have seen him. Bardock feels the same, and Gohan looks to his past self as well. He tells him to keep training. Not only will he be a great scholar, but he'll be a great warrior as well. Present Gohan nods. And as for Trunks, well, there's not much to say to his past self. He is just a baby, but he and Vegeta share their goodbye. The three all get back into the time machine, returning home. And as they leave, Goku begins thinking. Even though that wasn't his Bardock, he wonders, what's the Bardock in this timeline like? Is he the same at all? Piccolo looks at Goku knowing exactly what he's thinking. He's not thinking of reviving Bardock, is he? He could still be one of those uncontrollable Saiyan warriors after all. And Goku looks over to Piccolo and just laughs. He wasn't actually thinking about doing it, but the thought did cross his mind. Maybe one day though. But either way, it's at least nice that he met future Bardock. Maybe the present one isn't so bad either. And just for reassurance, in the future, they also go to Dr. Gero's lab to destroy anything there. They don't want to be dealing with any Cell. At least, not another Cell. Of course, Cell still shows up in this timeline too, but he's very easy to face. Not only did they know he was going to show up, but Bardock had some premonitions about how it was going to go, and it was not going to go well for Cell at all. Just as quickly as he shows up, he's completely decimated. Even with one of them there, they would have been able to do this, but with three of them, there was no shot. The future timeline begins getting rebuilt. And Bardock doesn't really have much else to do. He helps rebuild a bit. I mean, it is nice to have three superpowered people help rebuild a city after all, as well as having help from technology that Bulma has. Things are finally returning to normal on Earth, at least as normal as they can be. And as Bardock thinks more and more, he realizes it must have not been some mistake that he was sent here into the future. It feels like it was meant to be this way, like this is his destiny. I mean, look at everything that came out of it after all. Despite some missteps along the way, everything's been turning out okay. But this is not the end of his story, not even in the slightest. Far away, someone is watching over Earth. It's interesting and confusing to see that Bardock is there, a Saiyan from the past. How did he get there? It's great that he helped defend Earth, but having three strong fighters there could be a double-edged sword. Not only will they defend Earth, but all that power could lead to their downfall. The person watching over everything is Shin, as well as Kibito. He senses those three powers there, but he also feels another ominous presence. It's Babidi. He's heading to Earth alongside Dabura, and he knows exactly what they're planning. They're going to revive Majin Buu. Now maybe these three warriors can defeat Dabura. If all three of them team up, they may be able to kill him, but still, with how strong they are, that power could lead to Buu being revived. And the two of them know exactly what they need to do. They decide that they eventually need to intervene before Babidi and Dabura strike. Not only do they want to warn everyone of the threat of Majin Buu, but they want to prepare them as well. These three together should be enough to stop Babidi and Dabura, but they have to be smart about it. Again, it's kind of a double-edged sword. They're strong, but they're so strong that they'd be giving off a lot of energy for Buu, and that might cause his revival. If they went into battle head first without keeping their energy in check, it might be disastrous. But if they know about everything coming beforehand, they could formulate a plan and actually defeat Dabura really easily, all while conserving enough energy to not give it to Buu. So, Shin and Kibito head to Earth. The three warriors are surprised to meet them. Obviously they knew nothing about these guys, and not only are they figuring out a new realm of gods by meeting them, but they're being told a new threat is about to attack Earth. Of course, they're not too worried. They've been training ever since the Cell Saga, and even then they were still pretty strong. Whatever threat's coming their way, they'll figure out a way to stop it. But they're told that Majin Buu is no simple threat. If he's revived, the consequences could be disastrous. But there is a way to stop all this, and the two Kais also offer them the idea of training. Besides the fact that a threat is on the way, I mean, obviously they're not going to turn down an offer to train with literal gods, especially these higher level ones. Maybe they can learn some really interesting stuff. So they head to the Sacred World of Kais to start preparing. Immediately they're told more about Dabura and Babidi and what to expect. Babidi is a magician, but he's not too physically strong, and Dabura is the real main threat. But even though Babidi isn't strong physically, they do need to watch out for its trickery. He can not only pull off some stunts during battle for himself, but he could probably help Dabura with his magic too. They can never be too careful, and they don't know what to expect. But right now, they work on strength training, and training here is actually very beneficial for them. They have been slacking off a bit. They've still been training a lot, but since there's no immediate threat for them, it's not like they were training as intensely as they were for Cell, for example. Shin and Kibito are impressed to see their skills. These Saiyans are incredibly strong. The three of them are also trying to work towards Super Saiyan 2. They saw Goku and Gohan use it in the past. And that's their next goal. But beyond that, Shin has a really good idea of what they could try and do for their training. There's the Z Sword. If one of them can pull it out of its stone, maybe they could use it. Not just for battle, but for training too. If they're strong enough to do that, they'll definitely be strong enough to defeat Dabura easily. Well, they assume so. They all attempt to pull the sword out of the stone. And it does take some struggle, but eventually, Gohan's able to make it budge, tearing it right out from the stone and holding it up in the air, until he realizes how heavy it is and he drops to the ground. Alright, this is going to be harder to use than they expected, but they could take turns using it, and as for Trunks, once they're all strong enough to hold it well, Trunks can actually use it as his main weapon, since he is a swordsman after all. They all try swinging it around, and eventually they do get the hang of it. It takes some time, but they notice they're getting a lot stronger just from using the sword alone, even to the point where they're able to use it in base as well. They've all seen an increase in strength, and now Trunks has a new weapon, but Shin and Kibito are still a little bit concerned. Maybe if they're all Super Saiyan 2s, yeah, this would be very easy, but with 3 Super Saiyans, will it actually be enough to defeat Dabura? They think so, but if Babidi and Dabura pull some tricks, they can easily get ahead. They have the strength on their side, but they also need to have the strategy. If they screw one thing up, if just one small thing goes wrong, everything can fall apart. But they're confident and they're ready. They all head back to Earth, going to find Babidi and Dabura's ship. Shin and Kibito are there too to provide assistance, but they're going to be careful. They know they're too weak to actually help against this. Babidi would be one thing, but against Dabura, they're not strong enough. But everything should go smoothly. They know to expect anything, and they know to keep a close eye on both Babidi and Dabura. Bardock, Trunks, and Gohan are confident, but they're not going to get too confident. They find the ship, and Babidi and Dabura greet them. Babidi's surprised to see the Supreme Kai here. They must be really terrified if he's involved. and without exchanging words, the fight begins. Dabura immediately launches over to the Kais, but Trunks and Gohan jump in front of them, each launching a powerful Masenko and blocking Dabura. Dabura is blasted back, and Bardock appears right behind him, punching him right in the back. Dabura chuckles and gets up. They're stronger than he expected, but they're also holding back. Right after they attack, they power back down, trying to conserve as much energy as possible, and Babidi realizes this too. And as for Babidi himself, he's getting a bit concerned. Dabura is strong, but with 3 people against him, 3 smart fighters against him especially, Dabura will definitely encounter some trouble, and if he dies, well, there's no way they're gonna get energy at all. These 3 are the only strong people that they can actually steal energy from, and without a battle going on, there's no way to actually collect that energy. Besides forcibly trying to take it from them, which is also impossible. They're on guard right now. And Babidi begins thinking. He's looking around, trying to figure out anything about these fighters. The 3 of them keep fighting Dabura, and it's a pretty good battle. It's turning out much better than I expected. Sure, Dabura is strong, but with 3 Super Saiyans there, they actually are overwhelming him. The main issue is they're just trying to hold their power back. If they were able to go all out, they could end this pretty quickly, but they kinda have to pace themselves here and make this slow. And Babidi begins helping Dabura too. He even teleports him around, and Dabura pulls out his sword too. This makes the battle a lot trickier. They don't know where Babidi's gonna teleport him, and Dabura is attacking very frantically, reacting to wherever he's teleported quickly. At one point he's even teleported in front of Kibito, and he's almost able to hit him with his sword, but Shin's able to paralyze him last second, and Bardock goes into attack. And then Babidi finally thinks of something. Wait, he might have an idea. He was looking at the other Saiyans, trying to figure out what's going on with them. He was thinking, maybe he can get another minion with him. With Gohan, he's pure of heart. That's impossible. And Trunks is very good too. With them, there's nothing to manipulate in their minds. But Bardock, he's different. There's a lot of turmoil within him, and he's not necessarily purely good. Think about who he was before. He was another genocidal Saiyan warrior. And with all the trauma he's gone through too, and the internal conflict that he's still facing to this day, Babidi sees an opportunity. Wait a second, this might work. Suddenly he and Dabura vanish from the battlefield, with Bardock going away along with them. Shin and Kibito are confused, and Trunks and Gohan try to sense his energy. Babidi teleported them all away, but why Bardock? Why just him alone? They assume maybe Dabura's gonna try and fight them one-on-one. That'll be the easiest way for him to win. But as they're searching, it's actually much different than that. Bardock ends up elsewhere, another desolate part of Earth. Bardock's confused, not knowing what's going on, but Dabura starts attacking him, trying to weaken him, and Babidi begins talking to him, trying to break him mentally. He also starts working his magic, looking into Bardock's mind, finding his desires, finding his hatred, trying to find anything that he could exploit. Now, unlike Vegeta, this is definitely going to be a bit harder. With Vegeta, he actually willingly gave in to Babidi, and Bardock definitely still could fall to the spell, but he'd be a lot more mentally sound. It'll be a challenge for Babidi, but not impossible. They just need some time away from the others. Dabura keeps beating on Bardock, tormenting him, trying to make him angry, and Babidi could see it. That anger's coming out, the hatred, those feelings of his past self. Bardock's trying to resist, trying to keep his emotions in check, but he can feel it all washing back on him. He remembers how he used to be. Babidi's manipulating his mind. Did Bardock get soft? Look back on how he was before, and Bardock thinks of all his past failures too. He killed Frieza in another timeline, but he didn't do anything here. He watched his entire squad die. His entire family, they're gone too. Bardock's fighting back. This isn't him. He shouldn't be worried about this. He got over this long ago. But the hatred within him, the thing that's been latent for so long, this is the back door to his mind that Babidi's using. And eventually, Bardock can't resist anymore. He's being beaten down. He's getting so angry. And that small bit of evilness in his heart, it's coming back. He powers up, trying to resist more. Shin teleports over with the entire group, and they see what's going on. Dabura turns over to them laughing, attacking so no one else can intervene. Trunks asks Shin what's going on, and Shin tells Bardock to resist. Wait, resist what? Gohan asks too, concerned about what's happening to Bardock. And Shin can't believe it. He knew that this could have happened, but it was a very small chance, and he didn't think they'd actually get away with it. But Babidi's trying to possess Bardock, and once more, he powers up. But this time it's different. His aura flares up even more. Sparks of electricity warp around him. He's turned into a Super Saiyan 2? Maybe this is enough. Maybe this will help him resist. But it's actually the opposite. This is a symptom. With Babidi possessing him, his power's overflowing. And Bardock stops struggling. He stands there, looking down. And slowly he lifts his head up. He's got a smirk on his face. And they're speechless at what they see. The letter M is on his head. Shin falls to his knees. It's too late. Babidi has taken control of Bardock, creating a new fighter, Majin Bardock. But even though Bardock has been possessed, he's not going to become immediately evil and attack everyone. He still has control over himself. And even though Babidi's influence isn't there, he's not going to listen to it. He turns away from the group, looking at Dabura. And he is pissed. Dabura is laughing, glad to have Bardock on his side. But that laughter quickly goes away when Bardock starts attacking him. Bardock is fuming. He was made a mockery of, and he calls Dabura a coward. They had to teleport him away just to get him alone so they could fight him. He begins beating down on Dabura. Trunks and Gohan are confused. If Bardock's possessed, why is he not attacking them? And Shin's explaining, that's his anger. Bardock still has some control, and he's taking out his anger on Dabura. But this is still bad. He's powered up, and he's using all of his power right now. He's giving off energy to Babidi, and this also served as a great distraction. While they're focused on that, they didn't realize that Babidi teleported away, and Trunks then feels a sharp pain in his side. They look down to see Babidi draining his energy. Gohan tries to attack, but just as he does, Babidi puts up a shield and then teleports away. This is perfect. Energy from Trunks, energy from Bardock. And even better, this means Trunks is weakened too. Shin heals him temporarily so the wound closes. But he's lost some energy. Gohan says he has to stop this. He jumps in, trying to stop the fight with Bardock, trying to reason with him. With Bardock in Super Saiyan 2, he knows he's not going to be able to stop him, but he could probably talk to him, try and get him to calm down. This isn't him. He jumps in the middle of the battle, briefly stopping it. And even though Dabura is being beaten up, he tries to keep it going, because he knows this will get energy. He's injured, and he's on the defensive right now. Bardock tells Gohan to get out of his way. He needs to finish this. But Gohan tells him he can't give off more energy. Boo will be revived. He needs to stop right now, and Bardock's just getting more angry. He tells Gohan again, get out of his way. He lifts up a hand, charging a blast, but Gohan doesn't back down. From behind Bardock, Trunks tries to jump in, and just as he's about to land a punch on the back of Bardock's head, Bardock quickly turns around and grabs it. Trunks too. They're turning against him. In each hand, Bardock charges a blast, knocking the two of them back. Bardock turns back to Dabura, his hatred swelling even more, and he's only been made angrier by Gohan and Trunks intervening. He continues fighting, brutally beating down Dabura as Gohan and Trunks keep trying to stop him. Shin's watching on terrified. This is bad, really bad. If this keeps going on, Boo's gonna re-revive for sure. Not only because they got Trunks' energy, but Bardock continues fighting like this. And now Gohan and Trunks are involved trying to stop it. I mean, it's better than them just sitting back, because if they just sat back, they would have gotten enough energy regardless. But this only helps give energy faster with the two of them there, and Babidi's watching on elated. Shin and Kibito try and attack him, but whenever they do, he either puts up a shield or teleports away. He knows he's weak and he's not gonna let them exploit that. Bardock's beating down Dabura, and even though Dabura is still on the defensive, eventually his defenses break. Bardock's fending off Gohan and Trunks, trying to hold back his power so he doesn't hurt them too much. And then he charges up one last attack. The entire area glows blue. Bardock lifts one hand up, charging energy in it. He rushes right towards Dabura. He stops only inches in front of him, then letting out a massive blast. Dabura screams. He's completely eradicated by it, and a massive divot is left behind by the attack. Bardock then turns over to Babidi, ready to kill him next. But right before he launches over towards him, they hear something weird. It sounds like steam coming out of a pot or something. Shin turns completely white, and Kibito starts shaking. They look over, and they see Boo's egg. Steam's coming out of it. It begins vibrating. It's too late. It's happening. Angrily, Gohan turns over to Bardock. Look what he did! And Bardock's scowl goes away. He has a more confused look on his face too. What did he just do? Trunks tells Gohan to calm down. It's not Bardock's fault. He did try to resist this. And there's no point getting angry. They need to remain focused, because they have a much bigger battle ahead of them. Boo's egg begins hatching. And after a few seconds, it breaks. Boo jumps out of it, looking much less terrifying than they expected. But from his power, they could tell. He's definitely not someone to be underestimated. Bardock doesn't even wait. Immediately he charges up another attack, launching it at Boo. It's about to make direct impact with Boo, going right for his face. But Boo simply sucks his head into his body, completely avoiding the attack. What? Bardock tries attacking again, and Boo's laughing. This is gonna be fun. One of his attacks hits Boo right in his body, leaving a huge gash in it. Boo looks down completely unfazed, and then begins laughing as he regenerates it. Now it's his turn. He smiles, giving off an evil grin. He throws an extremely powerful blast right at Bardock, and Bardock's only barely able to defend in time. At the very last second, he launches his own attack, but has to put a lot of power into it just to counter this attack. Boo begins throwing more and more, and Bardock tries to fight it off. But as the battle heats up more and more, suddenly Bardock completely vanishes from the battlefield, as does everyone else. They're back on the sacred world of Kai's, and Bardock asks what's going on. Shin got them all out of there. He teleported them all back here. There's no way they could defeat Boo right now, and even though Bardock got what he wanted, he's still pissed. He tells Gohan he was right. He caused this. He was too weak to resist Babidi. He's gotta fight Boo. He's gotta kill Boo. It's his responsibility now. He tells Shin, take him back there. Take him back to fight Boo. Who cares if he dies or not? He caused this. He needs to stop it. And then swiftly, Gohan hits Bardock in the back of the neck with a powerful chop. Bardock's hair goes back down, and he goes unconscious. What are they supposed to do now? Not only is Boo revived, but Bardock's in this volatile state. He's not completely evil or anything. It seems like he's still not trying to kill them, but he's letting his emotions take control of him. He's acting so rashly, and there's even an internal conflict within his group. Gohan was smart to knock him unconscious for now, but what are they supposed to do? They're tired out. There's a possessed Bardock with them, and this enemy seems too strong to even face. Gohan feels bad now. He shouldn't have lashed out at Bardock. This wasn't his fault, but his anger got to him too, and he acknowledges that. He feels like it's a lost cause now, but Trunks tells everyone to calm down. This isn't the first time they face bad odds. They've dealt with the androids before. Hell, they dealt with Cell before. They're gonna get through this. They need to keep that hope that they had before. That's what they need. Hope. After our heroes retreated, Babidi and Boo didn't really know what to do. Babidi thought about chasing them, but maybe it would be better for Boo to just go around doing whatever he wants. They'll take their sweet time destroying this planet, mainly because Boo also wants some candy. He's pretty hungry after being dormant for that long, and if it's gonna appease him, Babidi decides it's best to do it. And with Boo doing this, there's no one on Earth to stop him right now. He's just going around aimlessly, turning everyone into candy, destroying cities, basically just causing havoc anywhere he can. And it's pretty good for Babidi right now. No one's standing in his way, and Boo hasn't transformed like he did in the original series. There's nothing yet that would cause him to turn into Evil Boo, meaning that was Super Boo, meaning Boo is easily controlled by Babidi. He has no other influences. So Babidi's able to do pretty much whatever he wants, but he's wondering when those people will return. He knows the Supreme Kai's eventually gonna have to come back. Maybe they won't come back in time to save Earth, but they'll definitely have to encounter him eventually. Let's go over to the Sacred World of Kais. Bardock is still unconscious, and Kibito goes over to start healing him. He's also going to try using some magic, trying to see if he could reverse the spell somehow. Bardock's definitely broken free of Babidi's control by now, but just to be extra safe, they need to do this. While that happens, Gohan and Trunks train with the Z-Sword, trying to figure out what they could do with that. Maybe that might be the key to defeating Boo. It's really powerful after all, but they probably need to practice with it a bit more, especially Trunks since he's the one wielding it right now. Shin has a great idea. Maybe some target practice will help. How about this? He'll create a couple blocks of Kachin, throwing them at Trunks, and Trunks will just have to break them with the sword. Sounds like a plan. They go for that, and immediately, the Z-Sword breaks. It doesn't even last through one block. Alright, this is definitely going to be cause for concern. That sword seemed to be their only hope, and it's broken now. Forget that too, it's a sacred item and they just broke it. Shin starts flipping out, and Kibito doesn't even want to look over. He heard a loud crack and immediately knew something bad happened. But actually, this is something good, because soon after they're greeted by someone unexpected. It seems to be another Kai. He's really old and they don't know how he got there or what he's doing here. It's Elder Kai, and he explains what just happened. They freed him from the Z-Sword. He was trapped in there, sealed away a long time ago, and they freed him. Oh, maybe it wasn't such a bad thing that they broke the Z-Sword. They freed this guy after all. But can he help them in any way? I mean, he is an older Kai. Maybe he has a lot of knowledge that they could use. He asks what the problem is, and they explain, catching him up to speed. Hearing about Majin Buu's revival is definitely a bad thing, but he does know something that might help. Just as all of this is going on, Bardock wakes up. He's fully healed, and he seems to be back to normal. This only adds to the confusion though because he sees 3 Kais instead of 2, but they catch him up to speed next. Bardock asks if he has any techniques that could help them, and he tells Bardock he was about to say something, but Bardock rudely interrupted him. Couldn't he regain consciousness at a better time? Elder Kai begins explaining. He could draw out a fighter's latent potential. This will make them extremely powerful, and it might be enough to defeat Boo. The great thing is they have 3 strong fighters there. Great, they can have all their potentials unlocked. Well, not really. It's going to take a bit of time, especially if someone has a lot of potential, it'll take even longer to unlock that. At first, the popular pick is Gohan. He's one of the strongest right now, and he probably has the most potential being a hybrid Saiyan and all. Everyone agrees to this, but then Gohan interjects. Of course, it's good that he has a lot of potential, but they might not have the time to spare for that. If Elder Kai's going to unlock his potential, it's going to take way too long, and by that time, Earth might be fully destroyed. It doesn't matter how powerful Gohan is if there's nothing to save once he's ready. They need to make some sort of compromise, and he turns over to Bardock. Bardock said he wanted to be the one to make this right, and Gohan tells him this is his chance. He knows that wasn't an empty promise. He knows Bardock feels obligated to do this. It's not just a matter of Bardock being a more convenient pick, but also because Gohan knows how badly Bardock feels about all of that. And he'd still be pretty strong with the ritual too. Even though he doesn't have as much latent potential as Gohan, he'll still get extremely powerful from this. And who knows, maybe he'll unlock some other stuff too by having his potential unlocked. And hey, if that ritual is as good as it seems, Gohan could just do it later on anyways once they have more time. Alright, it's decided. The ritual is performed on Bardock, while Gohan and Trunks continue training elsewhere. They'll at least make the most of their time before they go back to fight Boo. Although, their training's not going to be too beneficial because they don't have too much time to train, but at least they can be healed by Kibito in the meantime, meaning they at least get some boost in power just from that heal. They've decided that they're going to head to Earth before Bardock does. Even though they can't actually defeat Boo right now, they can at least try and hold him off, buying some time before Bardock gets there. Elder Kai tells him not to worry. This ritual will only take about a day, which does seem pretty long, but also isn't too bad. After about half a day passes, Gohan and Trunks return to Earth. Luckily, not much progress has been made by Boo yet. For someone that likes to destroy stuff, he's pretty slow at it. He's taking his sweet time because he's too busy eating a lot of stuff. And it's not like Babidi could do anything about it. He has to keep Boo happy at least. Gohan and Trunks are ready. Their objective isn't to actually fight Boo right now, just to hold him off, defend people, evacuate cities, whatever they could do. But even though they're not aiming to kill Boo, they are aiming to kill someone, Babidi. Babidi's not that strong, and if they can get a sneak attack on him, maybe that'll work. They rush in, going through one of the nearby cities, getting everyone to evacuate as quickly as possible, if they weren't already evacuating. and at the same time, once everyone's actually out of there, they decide to power up. This city is empty, and even though Boo might destroy it once he comes here, they won't have to worry about any casualties. They're gonna draw him in over here, trying to stretch this out for as long as possible, probably retreating partway through too. And Boo takes the bait. Babidi is able to sense the key, and Boo stops destroying whatever he's in the middle of, going over there to where Gohan and Trunks are. Babidi's elated to see them again, but he wonders where that Supreme Kai went, as well as Kibito and Bardock. Trunks says not to worry about them. He wants Babidi to just focus on them for now. They even act confident, as if they could defeat Boo. They gotta stall him for as long as possible, and maybe this will be a good enough bluff. Babidi is elated to hear this, and Boo goes in ready to fight the two of them. They turn into Super Saiyan 2, showing off this great realm of power, and immediately they start fighting on the defensive. As Boo attacks, they jump out of the way, trying to keep as much distance as possible, attacking from afar. This might not be as bad as it seems. Back on the Sacred World of Kai's, Bardock is still going through his ritual. It's just over halfway done, and he does feel power welling up within him. Of course, he hasn't actually tried it out yet. Elder Kai told him to sit still, but Bardock can still feel it. And also, something weird begins happening. His visions, they begin coming back again, but something's different about them. Before, he had very limited access to them. He could try and do them at will, but they weren't too clear, and he couldn't look too far ahead without being inaccurate. But having his potential unlocked doesn't just mean his power is going to increase. This ability is going to improve too. And it's weird. He gets a vision. Elder Kai notices Bardock's mood changes. He looks a lot happier than he did before. His vision wasn't too far into the future. He saw Gohan and Trunks. They were beaten up pretty badly, but still okay. And the perspective, it was from his own. He was seeing into the future, himself arriving to Earth. He tells Elder Kai what he just saw. He watched Majin Buu defeated in real time, by him. Everything's gonna be okay. Shin and Kibito are relieved to hear this, and Bardock tells them what they should do. He tells Shin to go in. If he tries to sneak attack Babidi, it'll work. He's too distracted right now. All he needs to do is teleport in, kill Babidi, and then come back. So Shin does that. Right at the same moment, he Kai-Kai's back to Earth. Babidi's surprised. He feels another energy behind him, but it's already too late. Instantly, he's killed by Shin. Buu looks over in confusion. With Gohan and Trunks equally as confused, Shin tells him it's alright. It's Bardock's premonitions. He saw them winning. The two of them just need to hold off Buu for a little bit longer, and they're glad to hear this. Bardock's visions haven't let them down so far, and apparently they seem a lot more vivid this time. They're reinvigorated, going back in to fight Buu. They still do try and keep their distance though, trying to stretch the fight out over long distances and long time. They just need to hold out for about another 12 hours or so. And even though Buu isn't controlled by anyone right now, he's not really the smartest guy. They're able to mess with him, trick him, and do pretty much anything in their power to stall him. At a certain point, they're tired out. They're a bit beaten up too. But just as Bardock foresaw, they're okay. And immediately Bardock teleports in. Shin wishes him good luck as he teleports back to the Sacred World of Kai's where they'll watch. It's kinda weird too. Bardock knows he has victory here, but he didn't even test out his power yet. As soon as the ritual was done, Shin teleported him here. But hey, this is gonna be the perfect time to test it. Right now they're in the middle of nowhere, and Buu begins clapping. Another fighter showed up. This is gonna be fun. And Bardock tries to show off his power. As Elder Kai said, he needs to power up as if he were going with Super Saiyan, but don't actually do that. He powers up, creating a massive gust of wind. It even knocks Gohan and Trunks back. A crater is created below him. Buu even shields his eyes, amazed at this power. Gohan and Trunks are insanely confused. He got this strong from that ritual? But nothing looks different about him. He's powered up and his hair looks the same. He has a white aura around him, and his demeanor's gotten a bit more serious. But other than that, he looks the exact same. So this is what it's like to have his potential unlocked. This is Ultimate Bardock. He goes in to attack Buu, pummeling him. The attacks are working, but something weird happens. His foresight acts up. He sees Buu attack him, a split second before Buu actually does attack him. Thankfully, Bardock's quick enough to react too. What is this? Gohan and Trunks watch on. This is crazy. Yeah, Bardock's speed is insane and his reaction time is great too. But it's not like he's blocking attacks either. He's avoiding them perfectly. Every single move Boo's about to make is choreographed right in front of him. It's insane. He's got a play-by-play analysis of what Boo's doing. As he avoids Boo's attacks, he launches a blast up into the sky. Buu then backs up, trying to charge an attack of his own. But the blast that Bardock sent upwards comes back down. Bardock's even able to predict where Buu would be. He could preemptively avoid attacks and preemptively send them. But even though Bardock is having fun with this and his Saiyan blood is pumping, he can't fool around. He promised that he'd make this right. He's been given the opportunity and he's not going to waste it. He powers up one last time. The energy he gives off is insane, and he tells Gohan and Trunks to stand back. He cups his hands together. Blue ki swirls around him. He draws his hands back and shouts Kamehameha, launching them forward. But this isn't any normal Kamehameha. It's bigger than any one that they've seen before. Everything is shaking, illuminated in blue light. It's almost blinding. Buu is hit head-on by it, and he begins disintegrating, pretty quickly in fact. Bardock follows through, putting one more blast of power into it. The beam expands more, and Buu is completely erased. Nothing is left of the Majin. He powers back down. They did it, and this power that he has, it's incredible. He never expected something like this. He walks up to Gohan and Trunks, apologizing to them. This all could have been avoided if it weren't for him. But Gohan apologizes too. He blew up at Bardock before. That wasn't something he willingly did. Babidi took control of him, manipulated him. It was pretty much unavoidable. All that matters now is that everything's okay. There have been casualties, and they can't restore them with the Dragon Balls unless they go to Namek. But still, if they didn't intervene at all, it would have been much worse. The entire planet would have been destroyed. And considering what they went through with the androids before, this isn't as bad. It was pretty localized, in fact. It might have not been a perfect outcome, but still, it was a good one. So what happens following this arc? Well, Gohan and Trunks do consider doing that ritual, but Gohan decides he would rather work for that power instead. If he has that potential within him somewhere, he could just work for it. It would probably be better anyways. He would get more experience too, instead of just sitting there and getting it handed to him. No offense to Bardock, he had to do that out of necessity. And who knows, maybe Gohan can get his own thing. Trunks agrees too. Gohan is his master after all, and whatever he says might be the best option for him. Plus, after all that they went through, they do want some time to rest. Take a little break from training maybe, and they do get a few years of peace. More time passes. They wonder how the past timeline is doing after they saved it, hoping that it's okay. Things here actually turned out pretty nicely too. Future Gohan got what he wanted. He's actually able to become a scholar now. Sure, it's kind of weird because the Earth did just come back from an apocalypse not too long ago, but they do need scholars, and this is perfect for him. He's even got a relationship going on. And as for Trunks, he works at Capsule Corp mostly. The world is still slowly rebuilding, especially after Boo set them back a bit, and he and Bulma are performing a lot of humanitarian efforts. He's even met someone too, although something's a bit weird about him. And as for Bardock, well, he's Bardock. He doesn't need to settle down anywhere. He already does have a family. Even though his wife and sons are deceased, he still does have a family here. He has Gohan, and he's gotten a lot closer with Chi-Chi and Ox King too, helping out over there around the house and everything. And he actually does find an activity that he likes, farming. Hey, it's a job and he gets some training in while he does it. It's kind of a win-win. He's supporting his family, creating food for people, and getting some workouts in the process. But even with all this peace, it's gonna end eventually. Well, not quite yet though. At some point, Beerus awakens. He woke up a while ago from a nap, but not much was going on. From what he heard, that one planet Earth was being terrorized by androids, and surprisingly after the second nap, it seems the planet's still somewhat okay. Weird. He definitely thought it would have been gone by now, but maybe this actually gives him an opportunity. That Super Saiyan God that he dreamt of before. He knows that Saiyans do exist on that planet, but only 3 of them, and 2 of them are half Saiyan. Wait, 3 Saiyans? He asks Whis what happened, and Whis explains. Apparently there was another Saiyan that showed up. They don't know where he came from or how he got there, but something's odd about him. Whis says there appears to have been a time anomaly. This Saiyan is actually from the past. He was supposed to have died during Planet Vegeta's destruction, but he came here somehow, meaning he actually is a full Saiyan. This gets Beerus hyped up. Not only is Earth okay, but a pure Saiyan exists there. Maybe this is the Super Saiyan God he was looking for. He did travel through time after all. Something has to be special about him. But he's still a bit groggy. He's not gonna head there right away. Bardock is relaxing at home one day. His visions have been pretty fine so far. After having his potential unlocked, and with all this time that's passed, the random visions he'd had before haven't been appearing as much. And when he does want a vision to happen, he's able to summon one. Although he can't just do it whenever he wants. He needs to be in the right mindset for it. He needs a desire for that. He figured this out after his fight with Boo. During that fight, he desired being able to see that stuff. But now that he's living in peace, he hasn't really seen anything interesting yet. But out of nowhere, one of these random visions appears. And oddly enough, it's not as vivid as the others. He sees a man that looks like a purple cat. A blue guy with large white hair. And just like his vision with Boo, this vision is from a first-person perspective. He's watching himself. He's on a different planet with these two, and he doesn't know what's going on. He's not too concerned though. They didn't seem hostile, and wherever he was, it looked like he was training. But Bardock then freezes up. For a split second, another random vision appears. And it's from his perspective again. But this time, he sees something terrifying. He sees fire, everywhere. A destroyed city. The vision goes away, and another appears. 2 more figures are in front of him, surrounded by fire, smoke, and darkness. He can't make them out except for their silhouettes. And one of them looks oddly familiar. Bardock doesn't know what he saw, but he's concerned. Who are those 4 people in his visions? So obviously in the last part, I was teasing Zamasu and Goku Black. And yes, it is Goku Black, and not anyone else. And due to the changes in the past, I will have to briefly cover that timeline. We've obviously been focused on Bardock's timeline, but before we go into this next arc, we need to have some context. But since that timeline isn't the main focus here, we're gonna kinda rush through this. So clearly there were some big changes back then. Obviously there was the fact that Bardock and future Gohan were there. They weren't there originally. But the biggest change of all is the fact that Goku's alive. Not only that, but he got Super Saiyan 2 pretty early on. This will have some huge consequences later on. And not in a bad way either. Goku being alive is actually pretty good for everyone. which should be pretty obvious. After Bardock, Trunks, and Gohan left, the present timeline was peaceful again, and this peace actually lasted a while. With Gohan and Goku now having Super Saiyan 2, Vegeta's feeling kinda left out. He needs to work towards that next, and that's exactly what he starts doing. Thankfully, he has two people to train with, mainly with Goku though. Their rivalry continues since Goku is still alive, and the two of them spend a lot of time training together. Vegeta slowly starts warming up to everyone. He might have been cold beforehand, but the events of the Cell Saga and everything after have changed him, and slowly but surely, he's becoming a pretty alright guy. Through this time period, Goku's also considering something. He actually did consider reviving the others. You know, Bardock and Raditz in this timeline, maybe they could actually come back to life. And I know a lot of you would probably want to see this too, but realistically it probably wouldn't happen. First of all, the Bardock in this timeline is completely different. Goku never actually met him. He met another Bardock from another timeline with very different experiences. Plus, this Bardock has been dead so long that it would be kinda awkward to just revive him now. Same goes for Raditz. It might not actually be the best idea, and it might seem disingenuous. Like, why not revive them beforehand then? And that wouldn't be his main focus anyways. As usual, Goku's just gonna wanna get stronger. With him around, his influence is actually gonna help Vegeta and Gohan get stronger too, since he's there training with them and encouraging Gohan. For one, Vegeta has a great training partner now. He's not gonna be falling behind at all. He's obviously trying to catch up to Goku right now and surpass him. And besides just increasing Vegeta's strength, this is gonna have effects later on in the Buu Saga. The Buu Saga actually starts pretty normally. There's no real major changes. Even with Goku alive, it's not like that changed anything since he was there anyways. Around this point, Gohan would probably still be the strongest since he actually did keep up with his training. Even though he's been slacking off a bit, his natural hyper potential helps him keep up, and the fact that he had Super Saiyan 2 before anyone else actually really does help a lot. But it's not like he's too far ahead of everyone. Goku and Vegeta are very close behind. And realistically, all three of these people would be stronger than they were in the original story. Thankfully, they're not going to have to put that strength to use. The tournament goes just like normal, as does the meeting with Shin and Kibito. They track down Babidi's ship, and everything goes pretty much normal up until the point when Majin and Vegeta is supposed to appear. In this story, there's not going to be a Majin and Vegeta. Think about it. Goku's been alive this whole time, and his rivalry has flourished with Goku. Over those 7 years, there has to have been at least one time, one opportunity where they're able to fight all out, and that's just the bare minimum. There's probably been other occasions too. Vegeta would be satisfied. He's strong and he's getting stronger, and he's able to fight Kakarot all he wants. He has no desire to go back to his old Saiyan ways either. Plus, with Gohan being stronger, he's not actually going to have a problem with Dabura here. Gohan's able to eliminate him, and Majin Vegeta never appears, meaning Babidi's not going to get the energy he needs. He's eventually killed off, and Buu's revival is completely prevented. Obviously, there's other changes here too. There's no Ultimate Gohan, no Elder Kai, no Super Saiyan 3, and nobody knows about Fusion, either type of it actually. And even though there's some pretty big differences here, everything starts stabilizing once we head into Super. In Battle of Gods, the only real big change is the fact that Buu's not there, which means the encounter with Beerus is a lot more peaceful since there's no pudding incident. Beerus isn't going to be as demanding, but the Super Saiyan God is still going to be created, and he and Goku are still going to have their fight. Not like this is really going to affect much. Vegeta and Goku still end up training with Beerus, and on Earth, Frieza does eventually return. And here's the last big difference. When Frieza arrives on Earth, he's going to be encountering a much stronger Gohan. With Gohan training as much as he did, he's actually able to hold off Frieza. First form Frieza is not a problem, and even though it gets a bit more challenging, fighting final form Frieza still isn't too bad for him. But Frieza keeps on pushing Gohan, eventually letting his rage show. This rage gives Gohan a nice boost in power, but it's only temporary and he still doesn't kill Frieza, although he does injure him pretty well. This forces Frieza to turn golden, but by that point, Goku and Vegeta are already back on the planet. Frieza's already desperate as is. He's injured and already in golden. He'd probably try to blow up Earth right away, but since everyone's so on guard right now, that's prevented. This means Goku and Vegeta miss out on an opportunity to fight him, which is kind of a bummer. But they also save Earth from getting destroyed, not like it would have mattered anyways. Following this, we'd have the Universe 6 tournament, which would go pretty much the same as normal. By this point, everything pretty much balances out. And because of that, I don't need to explain why Goku Black is here. Since all those events went so similarly, that's the explanation for why Zamasu stole Goku's body. But obviously, there's going to be some big changes once he actually shows up in this timeline. Bardock's already warned Gohan and Trunks. He saw this vision and he doesn't really know what it means. He's unsure of who's going to pop up first. He eventually consults Shin and Kibito. Shin says that one of his visions was of Beerus and Whis. Beerus is still asleep right now. He's taken another temporary nap, so maybe Bardock foresaw his awakening. He might be up sometime soon, but they're not exactly sure when. Bardock also tells Shin about the other vision he had, and Shin has no idea what he saw. Bardock tries to bring it back, just so he could describe exactly what he saw. He sees a brief flash of it, and he's terrified. He gives Shin a confused look, and Shin wonders what he saw. Bardock's speechless for a bit, and then he says he saw a Supreme Kai. What, he saw a Supreme Kai doing all this stuff? Shin says that doesn't make sense, but Bardock says it definitely was him. But alongside him there was someone else. He didn't get a really good glimpse of this guy. but he could clearly see an outline of him, that hair shape. The person with that Kai was himself. At least, Bardock assumes it was himself. Shin's confused. How could that be? Bardock and another Supreme Kai teaming up? Who is this Kai that he saw anyways? Bardock says he was some green guy wearing purple. Zamasu? Well, that guy's always been a bit weird, but he wouldn't do anything like that, would he? But as for the other guy, he said he saw himself. Bardock wasn't too sure. It was someone that looked like him, at least in terms of the silhouette. He had that hairstyle that he has. He doesn't know anyone else with that hair. It's just him and Kakarot that has that hair. Kakarot's dead here too. Maybe that Majin curse reactivated. Maybe he turns evil again somehow. Shin's not too sure, but he and Kibito check Bardock again to make sure. There's no remnants of any curse, and that wouldn't make any sense anyways. Babidi's gone anyway, so who would be controlling him? Bardock breathed a sigh of relief, but still, this still didn't make sense. His visions haven't been wrong yet, and if anything, they've gotten more potent recently. After Elder Kai awakened his potential, he's been seeing more clear visions, and his visions are able to see farther ahead than usual. There's no way that this can actually be wrong. Well, maybe they can confirm this. If we saw Zamasu there, maybe whatever this is can be prevented. They can go and see Zamasu and see what's up. So, they take a brief trip to Universe 10. Shin, Kibito, and Bardock end up on Goasu's planet. This is insane for Bardock. Shin and Kibito did mention a multiverse, but seeing it in person is insane. And this is one of 12. It's not like Universe 10 is the only other one, but this planet is eerily quiet. And then they sense something. Shin senses Goasu's key, as well as Zamasu's. They head over to where they sense it, but as they're heading over there, another key pops up, and Goasu's then disappears. They then speed up, flying over. On the ground, they see Goasu dead, but they also see Zamasu there hugging someone. The figure then turns around, noticing them. He has a shocked look on his face, and he makes eye contact with Bardock. Wait a second, Bardock was wrong. This guy, it definitely isn't him, but it is Kakarot. Goku Black and Zamasu then teleport away, and Shin asks who that was. Bardock says something's wrong. That wasn't who he thought it was. It wouldn't make sense for that to be Kakarot, but it clearly was him. It didn't look like Bardock. He didn't have the scar on his face, and he did have the facial features of Kakarot. But that still doesn't make sense. Kakarot's dead in this timeline, and the one that he met is good anyways. Why would he be doing this? But Shin notes something important. That man that Zamasu hugged. It was a Patara, and the energy they felt from him, it was that of a Supreme Kai. At least, it was similar to it. It was something ominous. And Bardock tries to remember it. Yeah, they're right. It actually kind of was like Shin's. And similar to Zamasu's as well. It seems they were too late to stop Zamasu teaming up with this guy. But that doesn't mean they can't stop everything yet. Why did they leave so quickly? What were they in such a hurry for? Meanwhile, Goku Black and Zamasu are in Universe 7 right now. They're surprised that they were caught so early. And Goku Black asks who that was. Zamasu doesn't know either. He thought that was Goku, but Goku Black says that definitely was not Goku. It looked like him, but it wasn't. And why was he in Universe 10? How did he get there? Obviously, he had something to do with those Kais, but that doesn't make sense. From what he knows, in this timeline, Earth encountered a disaster a while ago, and around that same time, Goku died here. Maybe that was one of the time travelers. He knows that there were mortals meddling with time here, and that could explain it. But what they need to do first is get the Super Dragon Balls and make Zamasu immortal. Once they do that, the Zero Mortals plan can commence. On Earth, Gohan and Trunks are confused as to what's happening. Bardock disappeared randomly and hasn't come back. He said he was going to see Shin and Kibito, but it shouldn't have taken that long. They hope everything's fine. They then sense this odd energy moving around in space. It's very far away, but it's strong and ominous, as well as a little bit familiar. It feels almost like Goku in a way. That can't be right. Maybe they're just imagining things. But what if this is that thing that Bardock was telling them about? That vision he had before? Maybe it's happening. So just in case, they're going to prepare on Earth. They don't know if these guys even will come here yet, but it seems that Bardock's in the process of stopping it. Maybe that's what's taking so long. Hopefully he's okay. They find it weird that they can't sense him yet. Zamasu and Goku Black go around gathering the Dragon Balls. And at one point, they stop on a nearby planet. The life there isn't necessarily intelligent, they decide to extinguish it anyway. The two of them get together, holding a hand. They each charge a beam in their hands, launching it right at the planet. The creatures on the surface below watch as this energy comes towards them. And suddenly, it completely dissipates. Goku Black and Zamasu were just about to leave, but they then sense another energy. Their attack is completely disintegrated. And standing there, they see Shin, Kibito, and Bardock. Shin and Kibito teleport away. Bardock says they should get to safety. Goku Black laughs. Does he really think he's going to be able to accomplish anything alone? Well, actually, yes. They've already theorized what's been going on here. It doesn't make sense for that to actually be Goku. He must be under the influence of Zamasu somehow. And then they were wondering, why exactly would they head to Universe 7? Maybe because of the Dragon Balls there. Of course, Bardock didn't know about the Super Dragon Balls before, and he just theorized it had something to do with Earth or Namek. And in a really weird instance of his foresight, He actually foresaw Goku Black making a grandiose speech about how he stole Goku's body. It's weird, he never had a vision in the form of exposition before, but there's a first time for everything. So yeah, now he's figured everything out, and he knows exactly what he needs to do. He disappears from Goku Black's sight, and then suddenly appears behind Zamasu. He's in his ultimate form, and with one single attack, Zamasu is killed. Goku Black looks on in horror. They were planning to make Zamasu immortal, so he must have been pretty weak, making him a prime target, and now Goku Black is next. Bardock begins fighting him, and at first, it seems like he has the upper hand, but that changes very quickly. Goku Black tells him he's forgetting something. He might think that this is Goku, but he doesn't know about what's been going on in that timeline. He doesn't know how strong Goku's actually gotten. Goku Black senses no God Ki within Bardock. Clearly he hasn't had the same experiences as Goku yet. Goku Black gets the upper hand. Bardock is completely surprised. He's just in his base form. How is this possible? Kakarot couldn't have gotten this strong back in the past, could he? And Goku Black's laughing. This isn't even the beginning of it. He hasn't fully accessed Goku's strength yet. So this is only a portion of his potential. And he says it doesn't matter. Even without Zamasu, he'll be able to accomplish his plan. Now that he knows who his strongest target is, all he needs to do is kill Bardock, and then he can go kill the other mortals that were messing with time. But first, he has a better idea. He points a hand at Bardock, then turns it at the planet. This time he launches a quicker blast. It pierces right through the planet's core, and it begins detonating. Goku Black places his fingers on his forehead, grinning as he teleports away. The planet begins exploding, and there's nothing Bardock can do. Thankfully, Shin and Kibito were watching, and they show up to get him off there, as well as fixing up the planet so it doesn't explode. They couldn't be anywhere near Goku Black. If Shin died, Beerus would have died too, and they can't let that happen. There's definitely no way Shin could have fought him. If Bardock couldn't, well, it was a good thing that Shin went away. But what's going on now? Goku Black is going around Universe 6 and 7. He's gathering up the rest of the Dragon Balls, and he's not wasting any time. They try and chase him down, but he's simply too fast and it's a dangerous idea. And once he's in Universe 6, it's even harder to get a hold of him. He's eventually able to get the Super Dragon Balls for himself, wishing for immortality. He should have just done this in the first place. He didn't need a partner, he just needed to make himself immortal. He has the power of a Saiyan's body, specifically Goku. And he has immortality. He can exploit the two of them working together to become incredibly strong. Now, there's no way that anyone can stop him. No mortals and no gods of destruction. And first, he thinks he's going to target Earth in Universe 7. He wants to see that Saiyan again, as well as the other time travelers. He would love to save the best for last, but he could tell these mortals would be a problem if he lets them live for too long. He teleports into Universe 7, showing up on Earth. Gohan and Trunks fly over once they sense his energy, amazed at what they see. Goku? Shin then teleports in with Bardock, quickly teleporting himself away. Bardock quickly yells at them and says that this isn't Kakarot. They need to fight him and stop him now. No matter what he looks like, they can't trust his appearance. They start fighting him all together, but none of their attacks are doing anything. It's like he's regenerating from them or something. Goku Black chuckles. Bardock was relying on that foresight that he has, wasn't he? What a shame. Yeah, he could see things in the future, but he was way too focused on that and not what was happening in the present. Goku Black reveals that he was able to get the Super Dragon Balls for himself, making himself immortal. No need for Zamasu or anything. Sure, Bardock killing Zamasu was a little bit of a hiccup in his plan, and it did serve to piss off Goku Black. But he thinks this might be better anyways. Goku Black continues monologuing, and his laughter is suddenly cut short. There's a bright flash of purple light behind him, and Goku Black screams in pain. Part of him is erased. Well, at least temporarily. It eventually comes back. And he's confused. That technique. It was a god of destruction. Bardock, Trunks, and Gohan are confused too. But then they hear a voice as someone steps forward. Wait a second. That's the guy that Bardock saw in his vision before. That purple cat guy. Beerus. Beerus is yawning, still a bit groggy. This was the thing that interrupted his nap? A time-traveling Kai trying to take over the universe? And what a shame. He's immortal too, so he can't just be a Kai. Goku Black's nervous, but he laughs. Yeah, that's right. He can't be destroyed by him. Beerus says that's too bad. He was hoping to have some fun and use that technique again. Oh well. The Saiyans are confused. He's so casual about this. Does he not care or something? Beerus simply walks up to Goku Black. He yawns and turns to those Saiyans. They know Elder Kai, right? Remember how he was sealed in a sword before? Well, that was his doing. And without even looking, he seals Goku Black away. He just tells them not to break this. Normally he wouldn't be helping them, but he's interested. He had some sort of dream about a Super Saiyan God. Plus, whatever this guy was doing disturbed his nap. But he's awake now and he's probably not going to go back to sleep for a while. And after everything Shin told him, he might as well stay awake for some of this. And obviously seeing the Saiyans, he would be pretty intrigued, knowing the Super Saiyan God and all. Or at least having that dream about it. He thinks that it might actually be true. Maybe it's a premonition of sorts. This will be his rival, whatever the Super Saiyan God is. Everyone's just completely confused. They didn't really expect Beerus of all people to show up out of nowhere. Not that they even really know who he is outside of Bardock. Bardock did have his visions from before, And maybe he's even heard a bit about him from the Saiyans, given the fact that Beerus did visit planet Vegeta after all. Beerus proposes a deal with everyone. Since he did help save everyone here, he wants something in return. And they don't even know if they can turn this down, because he is, a god of destruction after all. They know that messing with that would be a pretty bad idea. His proposal is that they should train for him. Train with him? How is that supposed to benefit him? Well, he explains. He had a premonition of a Super Saiyan god, something that could be his rival. He's not too sure about what it is, or even if it is possible, but he wants to at least see. And maybe having these Saiyans train with him would be good. And hey, it's a win-win because the Saiyans get stronger too, and they're going to be training alongside gods. It actually is a pretty good offer. They thought it was going to be something much worse, but this actually does help them out too. But Bardock's intrigued by what Beerus said. He had a premonition. As odd as it sounds, he tells Beerus that he could do the same. Premonitions? Well, it's not like Beerus can control his. He only had a dream about it. But Bardock can apparently see parts of the future? Well, yeah, to some extent. It takes a lot of focus, and sometimes he can't see exactly what he wants. But he has a very good control in it now compared to before. He actually did foresee Beerus arriving, as well as Goku Black and Zamasu. Interesting, a Saiyan with the ability to see the future. Now that could be a really good rival for him. Who knows, maybe even being able to see the future will lead him down to Ultra Instinct. If he trains those premonition abilities, he'll be able to see enemies' moves before they even make them, having his body act automatically. Of course, he doesn't say this outright, but he does consider the possibility. What if this actually could be the case? That would be great. And he asks Bardock, can he foresee anything about a Super Saiyan God? Well, Bardock's not too sure, but he tries, now that the future's already changed by them stopping Goku Black. And with them meeting Beerus, yeah, the future has changed. He sees them once again training on Beerus' planet, but something's odd this time. Of course, Bardock's seeing this from a first-person view, and he can't see what he looks like, but he looks over at Gohan, and he has red hair. Wait, red? He's never seen red hair before. It's only a brief glimpse of it, and then he snaps back to normal. He tells Beerus what he saw. They were training on some planet, describing what it looks like, and Beerus says that is what his planet looks like. This guy really isn't bluffing. He says the Super Saiyan God is a red-haired form. It didn't look much different from their base. All that changed was that they were a bit slimmer, they had red eyes and red hair. Also some sort of fiery aura. Beerus is immediately sold by this. Just by training there, they'll be led down the right path. If Bardock's foreseeing this, that means it's possible. Unless this is some completely separate form that doesn't even count as Super Saiyan God. But that's highly unlikely. From what Bardock's saying, this does sound like it. Thankfully, catastrophe was avoided on Earth. And they still are worried about threats in the future, and they do want to be on Earth from time to time. Beerus tells them that's no problem. Whis could always take them there and back. Of course, he would prefer to have them on his planet training all the time. But he recognized that mortals have different needs than gods. And plus, if these gods are going to be his future rivals, he wants to at least give them some incentive. So it's all set in motion. The three of them all go to Beerus' planet and start training. Gohan and Trunks occasionally do go back to Earth, but as for Bardock, he has no need to do that. Yeah, he does like going back to Earth from time to time and being there, but he doesn't have the same responsibilities as everyone else. Really, all he's got is training. And this actually interests Beerus a lot too. Maybe he could be the next god of destruction. That's way too far down the line, but he does consider it. And first, he will have to see if he can go Super Saiyan God. Of course, with all this training here, they eventually do pick up on God Ki. Whis makes note of this too. Obviously, they're going down a completely different path than the ritual, which no one here knows about. They're basically doing what Vegeta did in this story. By acquiring God Ki and learning how to control it as well as training here, they can unlock Super Saiyan God without a ritual. Of course, it is going to take some time though. They don't even know exactly what they're looking for, just what it looks like. But think about it, with Whis' expertise, as well as Bardock's powerful foresight, they might actually be able to work something out. It's going to take some time and some intense training. Eventually, after a few months, Bardock actually does unlock something. The three of them all have access to God Ki now, and they're just trying to learn how to control it. Bardock tries to tap into it one day, with Whis coaching him and trying to help him use it. Bardock's able to channel it into himself. He can feel the God Ki coursing through him. He calms himself down, and then his hair flickers. It moves gently, and starts glowing and then turns red. Bardock's surrounded by a fiery red aura, and he opens his eyes, which are also red now. Beerus looks on amazed. Yes, they actually did it. They made a Super Saiyan God. Of course, he's elated right away. This will be his rival, the first Super Saiyan God in existence. At least in this timeline. And it gets Bardock thinking too, back to what Goku Black was saying before. He said that Goku got so much stronger in the past timeline. What if this is what he was talking about? I mean, it's kind of a long shot. Would he have actually met Beerus at all? But who knows? Maybe he went down the same path as Bardock. Maybe Kakarot's a Super Saiyan God as well. Obviously, Beerus would want to fight right away. So, a battle between the two commences, and for the first time, Bardock's actually able to put up a challenge against Beerus. Well, Beerus is heavily suppressed, but still, it's better than before where he was getting absolutely decimated by just a few fingers. That sounds weird out of context. Don't take that out of context, please. As the fight continues, Beerus could definitely tell that Bardock's way stronger than before, and not only that, Once he actually uses this form, it powers up his base. He absorbs the power within himself, growing stronger and stronger. Beerus is elated, as are Bardock, Trunks, and Gohan. With Bardock now having access to it, he can give some pointers to Gohan and Trunks. Of course, it's a bit harder for them since they aren't spending as much time training with him. And surprisingly, he's even gotten ahead of them. But with their hybrid potential, they should be able to catch up pretty quickly. And once they get Super Saiyan God, who knows how strong they'll get. Thankfully, there's not too much happening otherwise. Right now, there's no other threats in this timeline, or even the past timeline too. Life is pretty peaceful. Everyone is just training. Eventually, they even go beyond Super Saiyan God. Trunks and Gohan are able to get their own form, Super Saiyan Blue. They do this by combining the power of Super Saiyan as well as Super Saiyan God, making something incredibly strong, although they still need to learn how to control it a bit. And obviously, Bardock's going to be capable of doing this too, but he doesn't want that. He actually is trying something different. Since they combine Super Saiyan with Super Saiyan God, maybe they can combine Ultimate with it as well. At least he can. Those two never actually got it, even though Elder Kai offered. But Bardock has it, and he wants to use it. And it shouldn't be too hard, right? I mean, unlike Super Saiyan, Ultimate is not draining at all. If he's in Super Saiyan God and then draws out all its potential on top of that, it might not change much. And who knows, maybe he can even go beyond that. Who's to say he can't combine it with Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan? That would be crazy though. 3 forms at once? He's not too sure. But at least this will be the first stepping stone, combining Ultimate and God. And eventually, he actually is able to. Ultimate isn't too hard to use for him. And with the great calm and control of Super Saiyan God, it only makes it easier to combine the two. It's even easier to maintain than Super Saiyan Blue. And actually, he does consider using Super Saiyan Blue in doing this, but realizes that he doesn't need to. Ultimate's already drawing out all of his latent potential. And that latent potential does include the power of a Super Saiyan, so going Super Saiyan Blue wouldn't really make any difference for him. Of course, this is all stuff that doesn't exist in the main series. This form I'm making right now, which will dub Ultimate God, I'm going to make up my own rules for it. As I've discussed in many of my videos before, Ultimate works by drawing out all your potential. So he doesn't actually need to turn Super Saiyan Blue because that's just using the power of a Super Saiyan and Super Saiyan God. I know, this might be kind of confusing, but if you get what I'm saying, all Bardock's doing here is drawing out his potential while he's in Super Saiyan God. He only needs to use that form so he can manifest the God Ki, more effectively than he can do so in base. Combining this with Ultimate is a deadly combo. He has a dramatic increase in power, and whenever he uses this while training or sparring, his growth is insane. And don't think Trunks and Gohan are going to be left behind either. They're hybrid Saiyans with Super Saiyan Blue. You could just imagine how strong they'd be getting. But with Bardock having Ultimate God now, he's able to keep up with that insane hybrid potential, even going beyond that too. Of course, he also has his foresight too, which gives him a great advantage. But he's not too focused on that right now. At least, not focused on trying to predict things in the future. And because of that, this next bit of news is going to come as a surprise to him. About a year or so passes since Beerus met everyone. There's been some trouble brewing among the timelines, and not the kind that you would think. It's not some new enemy or anything. It's someone that's always been there. Someone that wants to rectify all the mistakes so far. With these two timelines here, it causes so many issues. I mean, just look at what happened with Zamasu. There shouldn't even be the two timelines. It should just be one. And better yet, maybe just one universe. That would be even better. The person I'm referring to is Zeno, as well as future Zeno. By now, of course, the two know about each other's timelines. And they end up meeting one day. With all the problems amongst universes, they want to solve this somehow. Not just between timelines, but even to a relatively smaller scale with the universes. The two Zenos could fix all of this. And they have a plan. Erase all universes from both timelines, and just start over. But maybe that's a bit too harsh. They should try and give mortals the benefit of the doubt. Okay, well, they look at the mortal levels of different universes. Maybe they can keep the top 4 from each timeline safe, and just merge the two timelines together with these universes. They'll just expunge the rest of them from existence, the ones that are lower level. That'll be good, cleaning up 8 universes from 2 timelines, 16 total. The 8 remaining ones will just be merged together into 4, and the 2 Zenos will keep watch over it. That makes their job a lot easier. But how about give some of them a chance, the ones with lower mortal levels? Give mortals a chance to prove themselves. Zeno from the main timeline has a good idea. He saw this thing between Universe 7 and Universe 6. There was a tournament that went down. A tournament? Future Zeno's never seen something like that. And Zeno explains. Well, explaining only tells Future Zeno so much. He actually does want to show him. And Future Zeno really does want to see this. This tournament idea sounds fun. They could even do an exhibition match beforehand so he gets an idea of it. There's going to be a tournament. One that spans across timelines and universes. Each team will have 10 players. They can take however many from each timeline that they want. For example, for Universe 11, they can take 4 from the future timeline and 6 from the past timeline. All that matters is that there's 10 for a team, and it doesn't matter how they split it up. Whatever team is the last one surviving, that universe will remain. The two will get merged together and there will be no timeline difference. They'll get to stay with the other 4 universes. This isn't just the tournament of power, this is the timeline tournament. Bardock, Gohan, and Trunks are training on Beerus' planet one day, and a surprise visitor pops up. Beerus immediately bows down to him. Bardock, Gohan, and Trunks are completely confused, but Beerus tells him quickly to bow, so they do so. It's the Grand Priest, and he begins explaining what's happened. A timeline tournament? What the hell is that? The Grand Priest explains all the rules and what's happening, as well as the stakes involved. The winners will get the Super Dragon Balls as well, at least the ones from the past timeline. Besides that, they'll get the ability to go on. Go on? Yeah, go on, as in survive. They'll be spared by Zeno. They'll have a week to formulate a team. And of course, during this time, mortals aren't permitted to time travel, unless attended by a god. They can feel free to formulate whatever team they want. And after explaining the rules, the Grand Priest leaves. This is even shocking to Whis. Not only is it a tournament between universes, but timelines as well. But this is only natural. It's a result of these Saiyans messing with time. And Beerus is a bit concerned. Crap, how are they supposed to make a good team with the other Universe 7? All he has is Bardock, Trunks, and Gohan. He assumes that in the other timeline, maybe that's all they have too. That's only 6 people. What are they supposed to do about the other 4? But wait, Trunks brings up something. The Grand Priest said that they can allocate this however they want. And yeah, they only have 3 fighters here, but he knows they have a ton in the past that they can use. Wait, really? Yeah, there should be some pretty strong ones back there. Of course, he doesn't know how strong they are now. But judging by what they saw before from Goku Black, maybe they are pretty strong. And just as they're discussing this, another Whis pops up with another Beerus. The 2 Whis greet each other very formally, while the 2 Beeruses are just collectively freaking out. The one from the past then sees the other Saiyans there. Wait, he asks Beerus, or himself, are these Super Saiyan gods? Oh yeah, he's heard of them too? Well yeah, he's got some in his timeline. They've been training there as well, and he even recognizes some of them. And even though they look a bit different, the other 2 are a bit familiar. One looks exactly like Goku, and the other one, he looks like Goku's son. That's weird, he would have never expected Gohan to train here. But as for the other guy, that doesn't look exactly like Goku, but he does look similar enough. Wait, Goku? Bardock's confused. Is Beerus implying that he's been training Kakarot on his planet? Well yeah, not just him, but also Vegeta. What? This is insane. Bardock didn't know that the same thing was going on in the other timeline too. The past version of Whis departs for a bit, and soon after he comes back. They've all been filled in on this already, and they decided to not keep it a secret from Vegeta. Goku and Vegeta are here now, and they're just as amazed as the other 3. And the 2 Beeruses begin thinking, this might actually work. Of course, they still need 5 more members, but this is good. They have 5 people right here, all that could use power beyond Super Saiyan God. They're all glad to see each other again, and they even spend some time catching up. Goku and Vegeta are pretty freaked out to hear that there's an evil version of Goku here, but Bardock assures them that it's all been dealt with. Besides that, everything's been going pretty okay on Earth. Majin Buu was stopped in this timeline, and obviously the androids were dealt with long ago. They continue catching up, but the 2 Beeruses end up interrupting. Even though they got a week, they still probably should work on getting a team together. And Goku says it shouldn't be too bad, even though most of the good people are dead here. In his timeline, there's a bunch of strong people still alive, and they should have just enough to get a team of 10. And over the course of the next week, the team is formed, everyone meets and begins training together too, with the 2 Beeruses and 2 Whis overseeing, as well as the 2 Shins and Kabitos. This is very weird, but at least for the mortals, they seem pretty used to this. Both Beeruses are surprised. Neither of them reprimanded the mortals for time traveling. But that's probably for the better because they would have had to deal with this without them in that case. And Team Universe 7 is formed. This team will consist of Bardock, Trunks, future Gohan, Goku, Vegeta, present Gohan, Piccolo, Krillin, Tenshinhan, and Roshi. And even though Team Universe 7 is strong, they feel that they're still at a disadvantage. Remember, Universe 7 is the only one that faced all these tragedies so far. Goku Black was stopped, so everyone else is still alive in their other timelines. This means other universes might just have duplicates of each other. They'll just be getting their strongest fighters. The only one that would be altered is Universe 6. And also consider the fact that those other universes in the future still have an extra few years on the past timeline. So their fighters will be more experienced than the present ones. They didn't even consider this. Oh crap. The teams from other universes might actually be pretty stacked. So before there's an actual tournament, there needs to be an exhibition match. Future Zeno doesn't even know what's going on, so it would be good to explain to him. And clearly the best way to explain it is to actually show him. So the exhibition match is between Universe 7 and Universe 9, or their teams at least. All the different gods from all the different universes show up. There's 2 of each, as well as their angels. It's so weird too seeing all these copies of the gods of destruction. Universe 9 feels like they have a pretty stacked team. For their team, they decided to have 2 trios of danger. The rest of the people didn't really matter too much, but they're hyped about the fact that they got 2 of these trios, although it's not really going to matter here in the exhibition match because it's only 3 versus 3. But still, it's pretty obvious because everyone sees 2 Basils, 2 Lavenders, and obviously 2 Bergamos. So who did Universe 7 choose for the exhibition match? Well, they have a few Saiyans. It's Bardock, future Gohan, and Goku, a good combination between power and strategy. And they actually have an advantage here. Bardock could foresee everything. He could tell what powers these guys have, and he's able to warn everyone about what they should avoid. Now, this part isn't too important itself. It should be pretty clear that everyone here on Universe 7's team is going to win their fights. But the most important part of the exhibition match is the fact that everyone actually tries to attack Universe 7. They say that they're responsible for this. Had they not meddled with time, this would have never happened. They're not just putting other universes at risk, but other timelines. And the people here are all Saiyans who are directly responsible too. The trio of danger makes it a point to place the blame on all of them. Without these guys, they would be perfectly fine right now. But Gowasu actually stands up for them. People even place some blame on both Gowasu because of Zamasu, but he stands up for himself and Universe 7. Yes, he can't deny that Zamasu's actions were terrible, but the good thing is they've been reversed, and it's because of the help of those guys. Without them, that wouldn't have been stopped, and all the universes would have been doomed, probably not just in one timeline, but both of them. Bardock's glad to see some people are standing up for them, but still, it is pretty clear that they're going to be enemy number one. And it does make sense. He, Gohan, and Trunks kinda partially caused this. Well, Bulma too, but no one knows about her. They willingly traveled through time. But maybe there's a way to fix this. If they're gonna get the Super Dragon Balls, why not wish to keep all the universes and timelines? I mean, they could wish for anything. Would Zeno get pissed at them for doing that? Bardock tries to foresee what's happening in the tournament, but it's weird. His foresight isn't working as accurately as it should. But that kinda does make sense. He's trying to track 80 different people at once over a pretty short time span. There's a ton of different variables of what could happen there, and it's constantly changing. With even every little movement that they make and everything they say, something changes in the tournament. Bardock's gonna have a tough time twisting fate here, but at least he has some idea of what to expect. The tournament itself eventually begins. So, what are the other teams like? Well, let's be honest here. I know you guys really don't care about most of the other universes, so I'm not gonna go through their teams. It's definitely just gonna be their 5 strongest fighters and then probably a duplicate of that. Although I will cover Universe 6 and 11 because I know everyone cares about those. Universe 6 actually will have a different team. There's gonna be 2 hits on there and 2 Kabbas. One of them is gonna be weaker than the other because he doesn't have Super Saiyan. But that doesn't matter too much. He's still pretty strong in his own right. Kale and Caulifla from the present timeline are on the team, as well as Batamo, Magetta, and Frost from the present timeline. And there's also a second Frost from the future. This Frost was seemingly still good and wasn't outed as a villain. But once they see the 2 Frosts together and Champa meets the one from the present timeline, yeah, it's pretty obvious that he has 2 villains on his team now, which isn't really that great. For Universe 11, they have 5 of their most talented Pride Trooper, and a direct copy of them. Most importantly, that's going to mean there's 2 Jirins, 2 Topos, and 2 Dispos. Universe 7 actually has the most diverse team, because it's not just duplicates. There are 2 Gohans, but that's the only instance of a duplicate, and both are pretty different from the other. But they are also pretty similar and agreed to team up with each other. They have a unique advantage over the rest of the team given the fact that they are the same person after all. It would be very good for them to fight together. The rest of the team kind of wants to fight like this too. Bardock's going to do his own thing because he will be fine on his own, but he'll be coaching everyone else. He's actually the leader here. His foresight is an invaluable thing that they have on the team. And obviously they're going to put a good use to it. They can't just ignore the fact that he has that. That's going to be a huge help here. And it's actually like that for a lot of universes. Everyone's working with the future version of themselves, or at least for the most part. One of the standouts of this is the fact that there's 2 Jirins, and they actually don't want to work together. Jiren's distrust for everyone runs so deep that he won't even work with himself from a future timeline. It's kind of weird, and everyone's confused by this. But it shouldn't really matter. They have 2 Jirins on the team, which should be more than enough, especially because the future one's a good amount stronger than the present one. And Bardock can tell that he's going to be an issue. He foresees it. Jiren's going to be the main target for everyone. First, they're going to try attacking Universe 7, but as long as they survive that, focus will be drawn to both Jirins. They seem to be the strongest here, and there's 2 of them. That's the worst part about it. Bardock's actually a bit concerned. As he continues looking forward, he keeps seeing different outcomes, but all of them end in the same thing. They just end with everything going blank. And it's weird, he should be able to predict farther than this, but it's almost like everything that he's seeing just ends with them being erased. At least that's what he assumes is happening, because he can't see anything beyond that. It's concerning, but they'll work through it. Fights begin, and Bardock coaches everyone. Everyone knows who to team up with, and they also know who their best targets are. Bardock was at least able to foresee this. The first few minutes of the tournament were pretty valuable. He was able to distinguish which threats should be eliminated right away, and which fights to focus on first. Everyone begins splitting up, going after their targets. And it's a pretty surprising shift at first, because immediately, Universe 7 knows exactly who to attack. Teams are broken up. A bunch of eliminations begin happening. Universe 7 is pretty strong. Of course, probably not the strongest here right now. But it's weird how proficient they're being right now. Within the first minute of the tournament, they already got over 10 eliminations. And they're pretty big ones. They're breaking the structures of different teams from other universes, completely blowing apart all their plans. Universe 6 even feels the effects of this too. So, Hit decides that he's going to step in. At least, Future Hit. The other Hit will handle present Goku. But Future Hit, he's going to take on that other guy, Bardock. He seems to be the ringleader here. Maybe if he can defeat him, Universe 7 will fall apart. Future Hit steps up to Bardock, and Bardock has no clue of who this guy is, beyond just what he's seen in foresight. Although he does have one hint from Goku. This guy can manipulate time. Hit steps up to Bardock saying nothing, assuming a fighting stance, and Bardock looks very confident. Hit wonders why. He has no idea of what Hit's gonna do, and Bardock says that's not actually the case. Well, Hit's gonna make this quick then. He time skips, and he's about to strike Bardock with a powerful attack, but it's countered. And it's definitely not a fluke, it's countered flawlessly, and Bardock's still in base right now. The attack doesn't hurt much because Bardock's not using his full power, but Hit's just surprised. He tries attacking again. Bardock dodges this attack. Bardock then powers up into Ultimate God. He is going to need a bit more power to defeat this guy, but it's pretty easy to see through his tricks. He's manipulating time, but Bardock can see ahead anyways. And Hit's confused. Is he manipulating time too? He has no idea what's going on. What is this? But Bardock says he's not going to give away his secrets. He makes quick work of future Hit, defeating him and knocking him out of the ring. Universe 6 just lost one of its greatest fighters. And while Bardock would love to have some great fights, and he knows that the other Saiyans kinda do too, he's gotta be careful here. He sets his sights on other people from Universe 6. First of all, he splits up Kale and Caulifla, going right for Kale and knocking her out right away. He foresees that she'll have an outburst of anger, and that'll cause her to become extremely powerful. She's a wild card, so it's good to eliminate her. Caulifla also seems pretty strong too, so he's able to make quick work of her. Present Hit jumps away from his fight with Goku. How did the other Hit get knocked out? Well, he guesses that makes sense. That Hit probably knew a lot less about this universe. And when he looks at Bardock, he assumes that he's going to fight like the other Saiyans. It'll be similar to Goku and Vegeta. He'll be able to easily defeat this guy, especially with how strong he's gotten thanks to pure progress in fighting Goku multiple times before. He might actually be beyond his future self, but it doesn't turn out that way. Bardock's being as careful as possible here. He's able to eliminate this Hit as well too. Both the Champas in the crowd are freaking out. What the hell's happening? This guy, he's like cheating or something. And this does get the attention of other universes. Universe 7 is working so well together. They're weeding out different people from different teams. Both the Gohans are working effortlessly together. Of course, a bunch of other fighters are just working with future versions of themselves, but the two Gohans have a different bond. That's the thing. Everyone assumed that if they work with a future version of themselves, it would be flawless. They'd be able to fight with perfect synergy, but that's not the case. They don't know their future selves. Remember, the future versions of everyone have a few years on the past versions of themselves. No one knows what kind of experience and techniques those future versions of themselves could have gotten within those few years. But both Gohans know. They've trained together, fought together. They have the same allies. Future Gohan's actually surprised in his past self. He doesn't seem to be utilizing God Ki, but he's still very strong. It's strange, he didn't want to become a Super Saiyan God? Well, no, present Gohan actually wanted to evolve more as a human. He doesn't even have Ultimate either, he's just been training. After the whole experience in the Cell Saga, and what he remembers from his future self, Bardock and Trunks, it's motivated him a lot, especially with Goku being around this whole time, not having died. He's still not as strong as his future self, but it's just surprising and he commends himself for it. Trunks works together with Vegeta. Vegeta's actually pretty amazed to see him using Super Saiyan Blue so proficiently. He's had it for less time and it seems that Trunks is already ahead of him in terms of strength. Well, that just goes to show how strong hybrid potential is. He's pretty proud of his son, and the two make a pretty good duo together. I mean, you also gotta consider the fact that Universe 7's advantage here is that they also trained together during the Cell Saga. Combine that with everything I just said about people working with their future selves, and you could see why Universe 7 is having such an easy time. But still, they're all concerned. Goku's looking on at that Jiren guy, and Bardock tells him, don't do it. Both of those Jirens, they're gonna be huge threats. They gotta play this smart. They gotta do something different. But Goku tells Bardock his foresight can be changed. He's done it before. He's foreseen the future and changed it already. His father might be relying on it a little bit too much. And again, he's foreseeing that they're gonna be erased anyways. So doing something unpredictable might change that. Maybe Goku should face one of the Jirens. And actually, Bardock can face one of them too. He can see the future after all. He can avoid Jiren's movements. But it's gonna be tough. Eventually, more and more of the fighters are weeded out. This advantage Universe 7 has is insane, but Universe 11 is still solid, and it's concerning. Nobody knows what to do here. As Bardock approaches Jiren, Dispo tries to attack him. Of course, he can see through all these attacks. Another Dispo joins in too. Casually while an ultimate god, he's still growing in terms of power, and he can see everything that's happening. His foresight's helping him a bunch. And it doesn't matter how fast both Dispos are. They're no match for him. He defeats both the Dispos, while Goku actually takes on one of the Topos as he tries to approach Jiren. Realizing that Topo might be trouble, both Gohans jump in and help. Future Gohan looks over at Bardock. Is he actually going to fight Jiren? Well, he's not actually too sure. He is concerned, but he remembers what Kakarot said to him. It might actually be worth the risk. He shouldn't be so concerned on what he's seeing. If he acts unpredictably, maybe he can change the future. Maybe they can win. He walks up to one of the Jirens. Maybe the past one will be easier to fight. He approaches that Jiren. The other Jiren looks on, opening one eye while he's meditating, and then going back to what he was doing. Present Jiren stands up. So, this Saiyan from Universe 7 hopes to challenge him. It's strange that he chose the past version, and he sees right through Bardock. What, did he choose to fight him because he thinks that this Jiren will be weaker? Bardock says kinda, but not exactly. He still knows to expect a formidable opponent. The two begin clashing, and instead of relying on his foresight too much to see what's happening later on, he's focused on purely in the moment. And something strange happens with him. As he tries doing this, he's dodging all of Jiren's attacks. Now, this isn't really that strange. He's done this before with other people, but he's not consciously dodging them. He's foreseeing what's happening, and it's like his body's moving on its own. Briefly, his presence changes. The power of Ultimate God explodes. What? He doesn't know what's happening. It's like he's unlocked a new power within himself. The power flares up and goes away, but it keeps coming back in cycles. Even Jiren's confused, and everyone else looks on. Bardock's aura keeps flickering, and he doesn't even know what's happening either. The gods look on in amazement, at least the remaining ones. Is this Ultra Instinct? He's just dodging every attack so effortlessly. And it's not exactly that. It's almost like Bardock's trying to tap into it without knowing what he's tapping into. With the help of his foresight, his body is actually trying to work with it, trying to move on its own. And this hypes Goku up. He tries to face the other Jiren too, just like he planned. And he sees what that power is. It's just like what Whis was trying to get them to learn before. Goku reminisces on all of his teachings. Maybe if he can calm his mind, he could achieve that. He has been working towards this after all, trying to move his body on its own. Ultra Instinct, the gods are saying. It intrigues Goku to no end. He wants this for himself too. He calms himself, trying to separate mind and body. He can't think about his movements. He has to do them unconsciously. The two of them face their respective Jiren. Goku's getting beat up pretty bad. He's not able to accomplish this as well as Bardock, and Bardock's not really getting that many hits in, but he is dodging the attacks. But something weird happens. Bardock's aura continues flaring up. His hair, it's moving rapidly. It's going between Ultimate God and something else, almost like it's going back into base. Goku keeps getting beat up, but he is dodging more and more. His body's getting used to it. At the same time, Bardock's feeling the same feeling. Their two auras explode. Pillars of energy launch from the different sides of the ring. The Jirens look on confused, and each of them sees a similar sight. The Saiyan that's standing in front of them. Each is powered up, with their hair flowing and an intense, overwhelming godly aura. Bardock and Goku have unlocked Ultra Instinct. Bardock's is a bit different. Working alongside his foresight, it's actually a lot more efficient than the regular Ultra Instinct Omen. Present Jiren throws a punch. Bardock simply parries it, and with one punch, he knocks Jiren back a bit, then launching himself towards Goku, not even knowing what he's doing. His body starts moving on its own, even attacking on its own too. He's somewhat confused and Goku is too, but he sees what's happening. The two of them start fighting together, and with both of them working together against this Jiren, they're actually able to catch him off guard. Remember, Bardock's been trying to work intelligently this whole time, trying to be as efficient as possible, eliminating people as quickly as he can. He doesn't care to see Jiren's full power. He wants survival. He works to eliminate Jiren, and Goku does too. Goku's Ultra Instinct begins running out, but together, they launch a combined attack. A father-son Kamehameha knocking future Jiren out of the ring. That's actually good. They knocked out the stronger Jiren before he could even power up. They caught him off guard, but it's gonna be harder with this one, especially given the fact that Goku's running out of power. He's able to focus, emptying his mind, getting his body to move on its own, but he's having a harder time managing this than Bardock. But thankfully, there's help on his side. Every other fighter's been knocked out of the ring. Sure, Universe 7 has lost some, Krillin, Tenshinhan Hiroshi, and even Piccolo, but everyone else is still in the ring. The two Gohans get behind Goku, each lending some energy. Vegeta and Trunks stand beside too, lending some of their own as well. Bardock's arm even moves on its own, lending some to Goku as well. The 5 Saiyans all lend him energy. That's actually funny. It reminds him of the Super Saiyan God ritual. He's starting to feel fully restored, and his power, it dramatically increases too. He's reinvigorated, he's regaining his focus, and he's getting a grasp on Ultra Instinct, but it's fleeting. Although, with the help of his allies, they could win this. They all attack Jiren together, with Bardock and Goku being the main weapons. Jiren's strong, and he is showing off more power, knowing not to mess with these guys. But with all of them together, it's becoming tough, especially with two people using Ultra Instinct. The battle gets tougher and tougher. Jiren tries to show off more power, but these Saiyans, they keep evolving. Bardock even drops out of Ultra Instinct at one point, and he tries activating Ultimate, trying to summon more power within him, and his potential explodes. Now that he has Ultra Instinct, his potential grew, his base form grew, and especially Ultimate grew. He just needs to get that focus again, jump back into Ultra Instinct, and he might even be stronger than before. The two are growing at such a rapid rate. What is this? Jiren's completely caught off guard, and inevitably, he's knocked out of the ring, and Universe 7 takes the win. Of course, Bardock is named as the MVP. Surprised at this turnout, but also very proud of his team. They actually did it. It's like Goku said, they changed the future by being unpredictable. And along the way, they accessed a great new power. And Bardock obviously knows what he wants to wish for. And even though they think it might piss Zeno off, Bardock looks ahead a bit, and he sees Zeno smiling. This is what he wants. Both of them wanted this all along. He wishes for the universes and timelines to be restored. They could coexist in peace. Even though mortals have made mistakes, they've also done a lot of good, and this is just proof of it. It was also great to fight alongside everyone from the past again. Vegeta's glad to have seen Trunks again. Goku was very impressed by his future son, and both of the Gohans enjoyed seeing each other too. But most notably, Bardock's glad to have seen everyone back here again. It's pretty heartwarming in a way. This is the result of what they did. When they originally went back in time, they saved all this, they preserved it. And not just that, but their timeline too. He looks over at Gohan and Trunks. Who cares if they change history? It worked out for the better, and oddly enough, it's one of the few things that Bardock's foresight could have never predicted. Who would have known that rebelling against Frieza caused all this? But still, that begs the question. How did Bardock get here in the first place? Well, he may never get the answer to that. And while Bardock ponders how he got here, this is where we'll leave off this scenario for now. So, what did you guys think about this part, and this series as a whole? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to see what you guys think. As always, if you like the video, be sure to drop a like. It lets me know that you guys like more videos like this, and it helps out the channel a lot. If you haven't already, why not subscribe? As well as hitting the bell icon so you're notified about any future uploads on my channel, including more videos like this one. Anyways, thank you all for watching, thanks for supporting this scenario, and I'll see you all in my next video.